Are you streaming? Yes. Okay. I don't trust you. Oh, don't you network error me. It's supposed to work, computer. Oh shit. Don't zoom in. Oh shoot. Discord. I need to get rid of Discord on my other computer. Ah! I wasn't quite ready as I thought I was. Okay. Alright, we're gonna load. This one. Talk. I'm really not remembering. No, I am not blaming you. I forgot Discord was open on my other computer, so it made like a notification noise telling me I think the one thing went through, and Twitch just finally told people that I am streaming, so a minute in, once again. Another placid summer day was drifting by. Your daydreams were chasing each other, none sticking around long enough to become a firm plan. But you really didn't mind right now. Wolfie, why are you not in bed? Because I haven't fixed my sleep schedule. So I am up at the crack of dawn again. Oh, you meant my title? No. No, I seriously didn't know what to put with my title, so I just changed it a little bit. You can get mad at me all you want. Is this... I think... I can't tell if this was one of the moments. Daddy Carl's not here. A tapping worked its way into those dreams. Focusing more, you realized it was coming from your window. Was the one you were... Was that the one? Yeah, that was the one I was laughing at. Hanky Panky. It might be this moment. A grin popped on your face as though it had been waiting all day for this moment. Heading to the window, you could see Cove outside. His habit of climbing this way was true Covism. No sleep for me, I guess. Oh my gosh. He'd rather scale your house than wait a couple of extra minutes for you to come down. You stood aside and gave him space. You held out a hand to him. I can't stay long, but no hanky panky. He's not sneaking into our house. You offered Cove a hand to help. I know you can't stay long. I know you're streaming. You offered Cove a hand to help him. Once he was mostly inside, he took it to help steady the last bit of his entry. He needed the help despite how many times he has done this.
Hey.
Hey to you. You think my mom should invest in some bigger windows? Cove laughed at that. Took one last look at his exclusive entrance. He hummed with a teasing look on his face. Make my life easier, that's for sure. Cove's voice came out quietly, with a strange, pleasant smile on his face. Did something happen? Oh, it's the talk. Okay, now I remember which story this one is. Cove opened his mouth to answer, only to have your phone vibrate, cut him off. You both turned to where it rested, a little further up on your bed. It was still facing down, and you couldn't tell who was calling. So hey, the thing is, I don't remember where the parts are. So it could be this one, or it could be later. I couldn't remember what the story entailed. It just said it was just talk, and I couldn't remember what talk was about. And now I do. You both turned it to where it was resting a little further up your bed. Oh, I read that. It's okay. Your attention shot back to Cove, and he smiled at you awkwardly.
Don't worry about it.
Go check it. It could be important. I'll wait. But he wants to talk what is important too. Thanks. That was the wrong voice. You shuffled it forward to scoop up the little noisemaker into your hand, and you flipped it over and checked the caller ID. No hinky-pinky. It's Miranda. Oh, you should answer it. I want to say hi too. Oh, you guys ready for this shit? With a nod, you accepted the call and set it to speaker. Hey, Miranda. Hi. There was something off with her tone. Cove met your gaze, and you saw the same confusion in his expression. Wait until marriage. I mean, no. A little hanky.
Heard from Terry.
Who? Oh, it's my little brother's alarm going off. Or it's my mom's. Both are options. Or did you hear her from Cove? No, she hasn't called me, but Cove is with me right now. Hey. Oh, hi, Cove. So, what were you going to say? He shook his head no before realizing it wasn't a good enough answer when one person couldn't actually see it.
No.
Terry hasn't called me today either. Is something wrong? At that, Miranda couldn't hold herself any longer. The muffled sobs from the other line were unmistakable. Terry doesn't like me anymore. If she ever did. What? That doesn't sound right. You're probably her best friend out of all of us. Yeah. Why would you think that? She sniffled, and there was a pause as you could hear her shift the phone to her other hand. Terry was here the other night watching movies with me. We were up super late, and she realized her parents probably went to bed and they couldn't pick her up. My mom and dad were definitely asleep then, and dad worked early. I tried telling her it was okay to spend the night and she could just text her parents what happened, but Terry really didn't want to. You glanced at Cove, and he looked equally unsure as you were about this story was going. Oh. And didn't sound like a friendship-ending situation. I suggested it to make things easier. She was nervous, like she could sleep by herself in my room while I stayed somewhere else. Yeah. And I said we didn't have to sleep at all. We could have kept watching movies until one of our parents woke up. I wouldn't have minded. And not everyone can do sleepovers, but Terry wouldn't tell me what was really wrong and what I could do to help. I thought we could tell each other anything. I guess I was wrong. Did she stay in the end?
No.
No. We got too loud in the kitchen and my dad woke up and he offered to drive her home when he heard what was wrong. She texted me apologizing for my dad having to do what he needed to when he needed to rest. But that was that. She isn't talking to me anymore. You could hear every bit of tears and heartbreak in Miranda's voice. Sure. And continued to be shocked for her neighbor. But Cove recovered and spoke gently. I'm really sorry.
I mean...
There's no way Terry would want to make you feel this bad. Or she just is done with your relationship because of this. Miranda sniffling continued, and you hoped that she had plenty of tissues handy. It will be okay. I hope Terry is alright. It's really weird that she reacted like that. It's not a big deal, honestly. Or you weren't sure what to say. Kind of because I know how this is gonna go. It had to be. You couldn't imagine any alternative. Miranda's voice sounded a little bit more collected after finishing her story, but you knew that crying was far from being done. I thought she had reached out to one of you by now. Maybe she's not talking to anyone. Yeah. Sorry for bothering you and Cove about this. Hey, we're here for you.
Right.
You can tell us things. Thank you. Her shaky voice finally conveyed a little optimism, or at least relief that she wasn't dealing with it entirely on her own.
Is that all right?
If you do hear anything from her or anything, could you let me know if she's alright? We can. Thanks. Let's talk later, okay? Bye. 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 That didn't really seem to be the special productive point to end the call. You thought you weren't sure where to go from there. Looking at Cove, his face seemed as lost as yours. With no alternative, you hung up and put your phone back on your bed. Cove crossed his arms, a frown creasing his face. He began to pace the length of your room, clearly trying to put pieces together in his head in a way that made sense. You were worried? You felt pretty confident that this thing will work out well. It sounded like trouble to you. You weren't sure how to react. Optimism. It was no fun hearing Miranda so sad, and you could have definitely empathize. But right now there was no reason to get too worked up. Well, it will be awkward to go from that convo to anything fun. Exactly. That's why, like, when the phone and whatever started to ring, that I remembered what this was. Because I know one of the scenes is in our room, and I believe Cove snuck in at one point because I know our parents don't know. So I didn't know if it was this scene, is why I thought it might be. It was only a matter of time until Terry reached out to someone, and you were sure hearing her side of the story would clear it up. The empty state of your head before learning this was not helping you now. You couldn't put two thoughts together and flopped back on your bed as you stared into space. We should probably try calling Terry. Cove's voice managed to drag you back to some grounding. He stopped pacing and you saw a protrude look on his face. What hanky panky? Is it really something we should involve with right now? Cove's mouth pressed into a hard line at the moment. It seems like the two of you were on different wavelengths on how these things should be dealt with. Snuck in what now? Yes, Cannonball. Well, we are at this point. We've been stuck right in the middle of it, like how I am in all my roommate drama. Be distracted by the hanky panky. Came in here to talk without our parents' knowledge.
Come on.
I want to talk to Terry. She's my friend too. Fine, then let's call her. Another. Wait, are you shipping the other two together? Oh, fudge, it didn't boot. And my other computer decided to be a bitch. Cool. Cove looked away, pulling out his phone, and you went over and stood at his side while he was dialing. Oh, that one. Whatever distracts him from the devil's tango. Oh my gosh. Cove let it ring and ring and ring and ring. Terry didn't answer. There wasn't even an option to leave a voicemail. Your shoulders slumped, and Cove looked even more troubled. If that was possible, he turned to you as if for some lifeline. Could you try calling? I'm just gonna send a text and be like, hey, I was trying to reach you, call me or something. Yeah. You took up your phone once more. Unfortunately, another set of interminable? Yep, fuck it. Rings, and the line went dead. No answer, no voicemail. Hanging up, you saw Cove's visibly deflated. He rubbed his arm and his eyes were distant. Open struggled with the whole affair. I don't like this. They're fighting and we barely know anything and we're supposed to just wait and see? Despite only being a minute since he texted Terry. Cove checked his phone again and was desperate for progress. For something, and you frowned as you watched him. You need to relax. You're making me anxious. There's no way Terry has answered you. They're gonna get over it, you know. Or you stayed silent. Cove stared hard at the screen as though he was trying to wield a new message to appear. As your words sank in, his gaze slided over to you. Just a little bit. Come on. You're working yourself up. Closing his eyes, he took a deep breath and released it slowly. It wasn't much, but you could see him ease up slightly. Yeah, you're probably right. Cove was still gripping his phone with both hands as though it might fly away if you let go. He looked at you with almost painful earnestness. Should we? What would we do even if we do hear from one of them? His pacing resumed as his attempt to answer his own question. We should probably tell them to talk to each other instead of only us, maybe? He slowly came to another halt, like a gear winding down. We should find out Terry's side of the story. We should try comforting Miranda and let up with Terry. I don't know. We should only tell them to work it out between themselves, or you wondered why you would always had to come up with things. This is me. Why am I always here? Or you didn't say anything. We should find out Terry's side. Nothing could be done until you knew what she thought about this. Not that much was certain, and Cove nodded slightly in agreement. For several minutes, you both remained in there in silence. Drowning in your thoughts, eventually Cove turned around. I'm going to text Terry that we know what's going on. Maybe she'll have an easier time talking to us because she won't have to pretend to explain. Yeah, that might be the only way to get her attention. We can't do that. Miranda said it wasn't alright if she admitted to talk to us. You felt like too overwhelmed to know what to say much. I think you're pushing too much. That's not a good idea, Cove, at all. Why are you so fixated on this? Because he doesn't want to talk to us what he came here to talk about. It almost sounds like you, the MC of your own story, lol. Why the fuck did I do at this? With the two of you on the same page, he steered his gaze to prepare for taking the next step. Cove's fingers worked fiercely and yet careful. He was giving his full attention to his words, and you slid up next to him, looked and trying to watch what he was writing. Cove rapidly texts out, "Hey, Sophia and I really want to talk to you. Miranda told us what happened. Please reply back." And it was sent, and it was done. Now we just have to see what happens now. Quietly, you felt nervous. I wish you weren't so certain with everyone else's feeling but mine. Weren't so concerned with everyone else feeling but mine. It definitely will be alright, Cove. Things are okay. Yeah, hopefully she gets back to us pretty soon. Great, we can do something else now. You're being dramatic. No, if he's fixated on this. Oh, shoot. Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, yeah. I'm going to let that one go because I completely forgot about an aspect of the story. You gave it your best smile in hopes of cheering him up, and he gave a weak smile in return of his own. I hope so. I really do. A small noise escaped his lips. All frustration at the situation crumbled away from his face. He spoke softly. Oh, the alarm got turned off, so whoever it is. Thanks, Sophia. I'm glad it's not just me with all of this happening. Cove took one last look at his phone and put it away. His effort at a smile was measured, but earnest.
It's okay.
We can just forget about it for a while. Terry will talk to us when she wants to. You smiled a little bit. Finally. That sounds good to me. I like to be alone for a while. Could you leave? Or you nodded lightly. Daddy Caro wants me to do this. But it sounds good to me. And you meant it. Exhaled some of your own concern away, and the last thing you wanted to do was fight with Cove. I'd rather not pick fights with people. A silence stretched on in what felt like hours, but it wasn't that long before there was a knock on your bedroom door, and Mom peeked in. Ah, shit. Mom knows that we're here now. Just wanted to check in on you. Oh, Cove, when did you get here? Oh. When she saw you standing there, she opened the door all the way, and Ma was standing there as well. She slipped past her wife to come into your own space. What's going on? We're okay. It's just Miranda called earlier and she and Terry are fighting, but none of us know what's going on with Terry. Your parents exchanged a meaningful look, and its meaning was lost on you.
I'm so sorry.
That's too bad. I'm sorry that there's trouble with your friend, sweetie. Is there anything we can do to help? Out of the corner of your eye, you saw Cove rub his arm awkwardly, unable to add anything. No, we're just waiting to see if Terry calls or texts, or if Miranda does. Well, we can at least help you take your mind off of things while you're waiting.
Yeah.
Another great idea, Lonnie. We can get the whole gang together for some quality time. Ma gave you a soft smile and added, this will be good especially since it helps make up for what happened at the farmer's market. See, this is where I think, like, different little things, like the order that you choose things pops up. Because if I picked something else that wasn't the farmer's market, would there be something else, or would this dialogue not happen? Yes, it will be wonderful. We get to see what Liz is up to right now. Excited, she fluttered a few steps away and then stopped. She pivoted on her heel and raised a single finger, flashing a big smile at Cove.
It's no trouble.
And of course, Cliff will be welcome too. I need to head to bed, but have a great stream. Yeah. No, it is completely fine. Especially since you need to get up in 5 hours, so you might as well sleep. Vincent! How are you? I meant everything when your mom's, knowing your family, it always was there for you, and that couldn't be underestimated. In fact, it meant everything to you that your moms cared so much. Doing well. Well rested today. I had some pretty good rest too, even though I have fucked up my sleep schedule. Well, I probably wake up as you go to bed now that I think about it. Yeah. Though, to be honest, I might just fall asleep during, Caro's stream. Oh. Turns out I was exhausted yesterday and didn't realize until like 90 minutes into my stream. Yeah, that's the worst, is when you start streaming, you're like, oh shit, I'm actually tired? Guess what, guys? We're not doing a lot today. Yeah, I think I have like an hour, like a little under like a 2-hour stream where I was like, hey, you know what? Guess what? I'm going to bed. Good night, guys. I really appreciate this. Thank you. Also, voice acting, yeah. Luckily I don't go too crazy with voice acting. It's either heighten or deepen my voice. Yeah, thanks. That's really nice of you.
You're welcome.
Don't sweat it. Not so, kiddos. Leave things to us. Just relax and we'll call you when it's all together. You nodded and your moms dispersed for now, springing into action for their impromptu get-together. You flop down on your bed and you feel like you could sink into it and disappear. Cove, meanwhile, took a spot on the chair off to the side. Lol, it just means got to get good at streaming, she says the entirely tired zombie that only can last 3 hours. Up. You sighed at the same time, and Ko's mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. He gave his phone a quick check and his eyebrows furrowed. Crazy folks at 224. Yeah. Still nothing? Yeah, this is crap, huh? Yep. Cove chewed the inside of his cheek, as to mimic the stress that was clearly eating away at him. Cove, what's wrong? What's really wrong? One disagreement doesn't make you act like this. That got a point pause in his movement. Cove was carefully trying to put his thoughts together and spoke in a fragile voice. When people you care about, when they're unhappy with each other, there's nothing you can do. At least when you're in the fight yourself, you have some responsibility and some control over it all. I wish it didn't have to happen, but that isn't possible. So, oh well, I guess. His attempt to give a nonchalant shrug, after all, was pitiful. Yeah, it makes me feel horrible too. It's true, but you have a right. But you're right that it can't be helped. It's whatever, other people can do what they want. You stay silent.
I know.
His reply, like he could barely muster the strength to speak. Well, we'll just have to focus on things we can impact, or at least try. I didn't... Yeah, okay. You turned to Cove, hoping your eyes conveyed the message you were you were feeling better than your words. His gentle nod told you that they did. But is it because of what happened with your parents? You reflected on everything that you learned about Mr. Holton, Kyra, and their relationship, and their son, and what they went through. Cove ran a hand through his hair, and a strained smile spread across his lips. For him, this pain struck close to his heart. Just as quickly as it had come, his smile was gone, lost in the midst of his faraway gaze. Yeah, you know what happened? It's like my parents. He whispered his thought distantly, almost uncertain of whether you could hear them or not. Whether. God. They used to fight all the time. I'm sorry, Sophia.
Don't worry about it.
I'm just gonna allow him. Cove gazed reassuringly at you. It's not like that anymore, right? Things are so different now. Better. I didn't really think about it. Again, the sorrow reassured itself, and he continued, and you barely hear him. Though, I guess it's pretty obvious that I haven't forgotten either. You tried smiling for him, you crossed the room and took his hand, you went over and placed a hand on his shoulder, you hugged him, or you kissed him. I'm usually like full-blown just straight into this, but I think he kind of just needs a hug. You crossed the room and picked up a little sweet, and Cove's eyes widened. He shot out of the chair and stood waiting for you with a non-closed look. When you collided with him, it wrapped your arms around his middle and knocking the air out of his lungs. Jesus! All mystery was gone, and Cove squeaked.
Oh.
What do you mean, oh? He returned the gesture longingly. Exhaled, you pressed your cheek into the warmth of his chest, and the tension struck inside you, released like a river flowing into the ocean that was Cove. The firmness of the hug told you Cove didn't plan on letting go anytime soon, and you both needed the comfort and closeness just a little bit longer. When he finally did, he kept holding your hand. The two of you took a seat again, this time side by side on your bed.
Well...
Today was a lot, huh? Yeah, it was. Wait, is this? Did TG actually go to bed when... Is this the part? You sat there content, you leaned up against him, or you caressed his hand. Is this? Daddy Caro's mad. Now holding it with both of yours, your thumb lightly brushed against the skin as you admired it for a moment. You laced your fingers with his again. Is this the part where you tell me you want to bang his head? No. Really? Why in front of voice? Cove studied every move that you made with a doting look. No matter what happens, we can make it work. His mouth pulled into a bent smile at that, and you chuckled.
Me too.
I'm gonna allow him. He couldn't sit still anymore. He leaned in, delicately pressed his lips to your forehead, and he raised one free hand to touch your jaw. The breath caught in your throat. Thank you. When you remembered to breathe, the blood rushed to your face and turned your skin deep red. Dude, I'm pale too, so my skin... You tried not to think about how hot you were feeling because after everything that happened, you were just grateful for the moment. And for a while you stayed like that. A comfortable quiet fell between you and the sun fell with it. Kara is not screeching. What are you doing? Nah, she's just firing guns at this point. The warming calm ended when Cove gasped sharply. You spun and half expected him to find him nursing an injury. Instead, you found him staring straight ahead. What? Went straight to violence.
Oh my god.
I think my phone just vibrated. Oh. Check it out. Right. Oh shit. Okay. That was that one. What a good phone. He patted his pockets, fumbling in his panic, and yanked the phone out, and the force of the action nearly catapulted the device out of his grip entirely, but he caught it in time. The eyes honed in on the screen. It's Terry. Thank God. She says she's sorry. He looked at you, back at you, eyes wide, and his nerves started to fray once more.
Hi.
What should I say? I don't know. Give me a second. I need to think. Tell her to call us. Ask her what's going on. Ask if she talked to Miranda or you clammed up. Tell her to call us, bitch. Okay. He flashed you a shaky smile and began to type. You suspected that he had similar thought himself, and you wanted to reassure with a second opinion. The Cove's phone buzzed nearly as soon as the message was sent. It's Terry. Again. She's talking to us. She asked about what Miranda said, but wait. You leaned in and watched the conversation unfold on Cove's screen.
Right.
She's actually gonna call us. Actually gonna call. He held a breath as you waited. Though he was good with people, he never been at ease managing conflict. His phone rang out and Cove jammed the answer button. He switched the phone to speaker mode, allowing you to participate in the conversation. Despite his immediate reaction, his voice lacked the same resolve when he spoke. Hey. It was tentative and the white flag fluttering in the wind. Sophia's here too. Hi, we've been worried about you.
Hey.
Buddies. Terry's voice was barely recognizable, without her quick, usual patter and energy.
Are you okay?
I'm gonna allow him to just say that. I don't know. Probably not. Cove tensed, his free hand coiled into an anxious fist. Can you tell us about what happened? Don't you already know everything? Don't you already know already? Miranda explained some of it, but that doesn't make sense to us. You heard Terry sigh over the phone as she unburdened herself. Pretty much. I was at Randy's house. We decided to watch some movies that she super liked and I'd never seen before. Turns out there's a lot of those. We watched one, and then another, and another. We had so much fun. Each time one finished, she had another to share with me. I didn't really think about the time, and I wanted to say yes to Randy and watch her movies. She spoke wistfully, but her words were full of affection. It was Randy, you know? I wasn't thinking about my schedule or what time it was. I get it. And then when I finally saw the time, oh no, it was way too late and I knew I couldn't stay. She took a deep breath and her voice became softer as she resumed talking. I was so stressed out and I couldn't deal with it. Miranda was trying to help. She kept coming up with ways to make it better and trying to figure out why I was so upset and stuff. I tried answering her questions, but there were so many, but I couldn't really answer them all. I didn't know why some of her ideas didn't work with me. But it made my head ache, and I still had the first problem. Miranda there was trying to help, blasting all these questions and suggestions at me faster than I could even think. She gulped audibly and sniffled. I got frustrated and I told her to leave me alone, but she wanted to talk about why I wanted that, and we started to have a fight in the kitchen, and I woke Randy's dad up. We told him about how I wanted to go home, but my parents couldn't get me, so Mr. Burkett offered to do it. It was so nice of him. That was me, and halfway through that sentence I realized it was. Terry groaned. I know. I accepted because I definitely couldn't stay then, not after throwing a racket and turning it into a big deal. But I felt awful and embarrassed, and why did I yell at Randy? It hurt her feelings, and I made her dad lose sleep by waking him up and having to drive me home. What do you say after that? I have no idea. I don't know where to start, and I won't want to make it worse by saying the wrong things and fighting again. Pathetic. Rude. Kara? So I'm not talking. Terry, Randy isn't mad that you didn't want to stay at her or that you fought. She just wants to feel like you can talk to her. I mean, you can say whatever you want, she will listen. Not talking to her at all is pretty much the only wrong way to go about it. Terry's laminate, mournful on the other end of the line. But he had a point. Unless she faced Miranda again, there will be no resolution. He looked up at Cove and hunched over the phone, staring into it and searching for a solution. This couldn't be solved with the other key party missing. But what if you brought them in? Your phone was still free. Suggest you call up Miranda now. You rung up Miranda. No, I am suggesting it. What if we call Miranda? That way the two of you could talk, but you won't have to do it alone. Cove brightened up, with a concerned furrow in its brow, which had taken root when Miranda first called, eased.
Well,
that could work. Terry, are you up for it? She made a noise that wasn't a word, but nevertheless conveyed her hesitation and worry. But she brought it to a close with a decisive exhalation. Yep, fuck it. As if pushing all the negativity thoughts from her body. Alright, I'll do it. Cove nodded, and now you were receiving approval from everyone, and you pulled out your phone and called Miranda. You set it to speaker and waited for her to pick up. Luckily, she did.
Hi.
Hi, Sophia. Her voice was still distant, as if her thoughts were elsewhere, but it was loud enough to hear your needs. Hey. You're on speaker, and Terry's on speaker too on Cove's phone. Oh. She paused while digesting this information, and you watched the phone screen, hoping that she wouldn't hang up as a result.
Really?
I'm gonna let her just say that. Yeah, it's me. You can hear my voice from all the way over from your house to theirs, then to mine. I can. You and Cove exchanged looks while waiting for the wall between them to break, wondering who would be the one to do it. As the quiet dragged on, you caught Cove chewing his cheek. He must have weighed up the same question as you, whether to encourage the conversation along or leave Miranda and Terry to resolve it themselves. The answer came in the form of one sniffle, followed by another, and then from Cove's phone.
Sorry.
Randy, I still hope you like me. What? You're the one acting like I didn't. If you didn't like me. Oh. Her tone was defensive, no doubt a result from her wounds last night still being raw.
What?
No way! Everyone likes Randy. You're wonderful. Your eyes met Cove, and his phone was tilted towards you, capturing the call indirectly. You moved your phone closer to his, hoping that the signal was strong enough to convey every nuance of tone. Cove did likewise, bringing his cell right next to yours, even bumped it up against it as he shifted his grip. I didn't know what to say, and that the only reason I wouldn't talk to you, if I had known the answer, I would have told you right away. Miranda murmured on the other line. You didn't want to stay. Anything I tried to do bothered you, and you could have told me you didn't know. Yeah, I think I was angry at myself. I did a dumb thing and I didn't want help with it. And I wanted to be mad and just deal with it myself. And it made me do dumb things. Oh. When she spoke again, her voice was quiet, as tender and vulnerable as the words.
I'm sorry.
Staying up late, watching stuff was all my fault. I had to find a way to fix it, and that's why I thought anyway. But I should have given you your space. I'm sorry for being pushy and insensitive. Hardly, Miranda. Fuck, stop saying their last names. Eckler? Having a flaw? I've never heard such a crazy thing. Miranda let out a ghost of a giggle, and Cove cleared his throat. Maybe you should call each other now? Sorry.
Sure.
Can do. Thanks for giving me a kick in the butt to do this already. Randy Mandy, I'm gonna call you right now. Bye, Sophia and Cove. She hung up after squeezing another quick bye, though giving you or Cove no room to respond in kind. Miranda laughed, and the noise tingling against the like wind chimes in the summer breeze. No, keep talking. No, Caro.
You're really nice.
Thank you for listening and helping. I'm gonna hang up now so I can answer Terry's call. Bye. Bye, good luck. Bye, talk to you soon. Miranda hung up, still chuckling as softly as ending your call. Wait, no, come back. The room felt emptier without another voice in it. Cove exhaled a sigh and then crashed into the newly fallen silence. He dropped his arms to his side, letting his head hang down like a puppet at rest. Thank God. They really shouldn't have gotten us involved. I'm so relieved it's okay. You were simply happy that your friends made up, or the day's event drained you. You were content now that Cove seemed at ease again. Ladies, come back. Be drama queens again. Cove scratched at his face, his expression cloudy. I think I need to find a better way of dealing with conflict because that was awful. We could all probably do better at it. I think you did okay given the circumstance. Yeah, I think that would help, or you didn't comment. We all can do better. Cove meekly smiled as he rubbed his eyes, weariness creeping over, mumbled into his next words. Can we talk about it another day? Conflict resolution methods?
Huh?
Huh? Oh no, forget it. Your eyebrows rose and then a light bulb went off in your head. Before Miranda's call, did you say there was something you wanted to say? Cove's original visit that had been thrown off kilter, that it was a struggle to wind your memory back to when he first turned up. Not tuned up. Now that you did, though, you remember that he had been perky when he arrived this afternoon. Was it good news? Cove brushed his hand against his now folded arm and shyly. Yeah, maybe? I'm not exactly sure if it counts as news or even good. It's just, it is what it is. It is what it is. And I'm happy about it, though. You were curious, but you didn't want to push Cove if he didn't want to speak about it. You don't have to say anything, but if it makes you feel good, I think it's good news. Cove chuckled awkwardly, and a hand creeped up to ruffle his hair on the back of his head. It's fine. If you want to hear, I can tell you. He shifted on his feet as if a different posture might have given him support he needed for the conversation. I didn't want to make a big deal of it. Well, kind of. Well, not kind of. I just wanted to know what my sexuality is now. Oh. A real subject change, huh? He chuckled. True, it was unexpected, but you were excited that Cove come to an understanding himself more, and glad that he wanted to share that with you. Oh god. That's great. Tell me more. Cove drew in a breath and straightened up. I'm demisexual. So, most of the time, I don't really have those kind of feelings, physical wants and stuff. So I completely stopped on this moment. I had to go look up what it was. And then I continued on, and then I guess it tells you, and I'm just like, oh. Keep the door closed. It's only in some situations when I was already really emotional, romantically connected to someone that I started to ever think about anything sexual or only with them. I hadn't heard the term until pretty recently, and it made a lot of sense, and once I knew what it was, I had a word that fit how I felt.
Yeah.
I'm a pando-romantic because I never had a preference for a specific gender or anything, so yeah. That makes sense. Cove looked down at the floor, being so open and direct about the matter that's personal, which you were sure he spent a long time trying to figure it out. Seems to be kind of weird for him. Despite that, there was a small, proud smile on his face, and when he looked up again, his gaze was steadfast. That's nice to know. How have I ever pushed you or made you feel uncomfortable? So does that mean you're thinking about sexual things with me? Or you felt proud with your boyfriend? Okay, this would be fun. I think I did this one when I first played through. Cove flushed and frowned equally hard at the statement. He struggled to get her out response. Yeah. Yeah. What kind of thoughts? Sophia, you don't need to ask that. You weren't sure that was true, but you couldn't help but chuckle at how bashful he was. No matter what, you wouldn't get more explicit response than that right now. The topic was dropped. All this talk about Coach's sexuality made you reflect on your own. Your feelings on yours hadn't wavered, or your view evolved since you were younger. I'm not doing that again. Cove had known for years now, and it was heartwarming that he reached a point where he felt similarly capable of discussion of his own, and you felt even closer. You felt his tiredness deep down in the marrow of your bones, and it had been a tiring day. Now everything was neatly wrapped up, for today at least, and you have earned the rest. You had some good talk, and it came out not only knowing each other better, but yourself too.
Hey.
We should probably head downstairs soon if your moms are still waiting everyone to get together. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, that's right. You got out lucky this time. With the news whispering in your step, you led the way out to your room, and you got downstairs to find the others already assembled and waiting.
Hi.
Hello. Hey. Good to see you both.
Hey!
Here we were, trying to corral everyone into a group, but the two of you were already upstairs this whole time. Of course we're together. You paid Sophia to stick with me, or did you forget? The statement was meaningless to your family, who looked at each other for answers in vain. Mr. Holton, who had got the message loud and clear, seemed embarrassed. Oh, apparently we never told our moms about it. He chuckled nervously, rubbing the back of his neck. Ouch, son. You always know when to remind me of that one. Uh-huh. I can't let you live it down yet. Can we hear exactly what the secret is? The suspense is killing us.
Right.
Alright. Oh, better to get everyone up to speed. He held out his hand, palm out, pacifying his audience, or perhaps holding them as a shield in advance. The first day that I met Sophia, I was worried about Cove being alone for the summer.
Well...
There weren't a lot of kids around, and he wasn't exactly the best of terms with me at the time. He glanced around to your family, gauging their response. I felt like this was my one shot, so I kind of offered her a $20 to be friends with Cove, and added that she couldn't tell him about it. Lizzie gasped. Mom stared incredulous at Mr. Holton, while Mom's eyebrows had retreated to her hairline. You and Cove already know the story and were the only ones unaffected. But after a while, I really did honestly forget that it even happened. He raised his hands higher, the level now leveled with his shoulder. Not a bad idea, you thought, because you felt Mom, if Mom felt inclined to throw a cushion at him, he would probably be managed to block it in time. I know that's bad, and I have so many grand ideas over the years, and it's hard to keep track of them all. Cove smiled, placing a hand on his hips and shaking his head at his father's antics.
Seriously?
I can't believe you, though also I totally can. Your moms were less indulgent. The shock had ebbed away to displeasure. Mom's foot was tapping rapidly as she frowned at the next door neighbor while Mom had crossed her arms over the chest and her lips were pursed. I'm sorry, Sophia, and I'm sorry to your parents too. That was way out of the bounds. Don't worry about it, everything worked out. Your moms gave each other a look and where they seemed to communicate with eyes alone. Alright, well, that's that then. It won't happen again.
Absolutely.
Definitely won't.
Alright.
Good. It was a little surprised that we're letting him off the hook, but now, on the other hand, it was a long time ago. Now, you were sure that your moms remembered those painfully early days of Cove's arrival, too. Mr. Holton wasn't a potentially bad influence anymore, so the lecture would have been pretty mute. Instead, your mom gave him a lenient smile.
In that case,
Now that's settled, why don't we find something to do? Nods of agreement cascaded through the group in a couple of waves of suggestion. Mr. Holton's shoulders slumped to release of tension. He brought his hands down and tucked them away in his pocket. How about cards? There was a murmur of interest from the others. You were keen on playing, that was fine with you. You played along with the others, or you didn't really want to fucking play cards. Yeah, cards. It was very nearly, but not quite, unanimous. Mr. Holton demurred.
Nah.
I think I'll sit this one out. Where's the fun in that? Join in. We're not too angry with you. Yes, and I know there's a lot of people, but we can make it work. Mr. Holton shrugged into himself, embarrassed at their attention. Dad, you love playing cards. We do it all the time at the house. Yep. Yeah, I remember playing over there. Those were serious games, and we made bet with real money and everything. Dad? Mr. Holton broke under a combined force of everyone's attention. Sophia, you're adults now and deserve to know the truth. I used to throw card games so you could win. I put up a good fight, but I always made sure to lose a lot more rounds than I won. He toyed with the end of his ponytail, clearly distressed at the second great secret that he revealed today. I know people want to take it seriously and fake wins don't mean as much, but I couldn't help myself. It was much better to know everyone had gotten a chance to be victorious, and Kyra knew and went along with it. Cove laughed in disbelief that this was the thing his dad stressed about hiding after all the other stunts he pulled over the years. So what? A lot of parents do that. I hadn't guessed it, sure, though looking at it made sense. That's right, what's the big deal, Cliff? You can finally take the kids' gloves off and give them a real run for their money. Maybe even actual money in your case. Mr. Holton smiled coyly, and his gaze lowered. I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Why?
Why not? I think that was the wrong voice actor. Oh, gosh. Is this the... Okay. He waved his hands expensively, and the movement fluid and vague. It's just, actually, I'm something of a card shark. I used to make a lots of fast cash off games, and casual players don't have a shot unless it's a game of pure luck. Cove's jaw hung open, wide-eyed, fixed on his father. Really? There was a touch of amazement, admiration, and nuzzled with among the shock. The other members of the Layton family exchanged looks, ranged from Lizzie's disbelief to Mom's intrigued, and Mom was somewhere in the middle of those two. You can't simply make a claim like that and expect us to go along. Let's see who you back it up, Shark Man. We're losing money tonight, guys. Mr. Holton gave her a crooked smile, and the demurmuratus quickly being replaced with a confidence of someone very skilled and misguided. You sure about that? Definitely. We gotta see the so-called non-player in action. Can I help you? Fuck up! I'm Motka. Well, I might be able, though who knows, I might have gotten rusty. As Koi continued to rile up the gain up. God damn. Reading. And he was getting a kick out of it now.
Please?
Come on, please.
Alright.
I can dust off old tricks. Great. Cove beamed at his father while Mom and clapped Mr. Holton on the back. Lizzie darted off to get a deck of cards while the rest of you settled in for the game. Hands were dealt, and Mr. Holton wasted no time proving his words true, wiping the floor with all of you. You played several rounds, even switching games, but none of you were a match for him. And that was how the alliance came to forge. The rest of you joined forces against Mr. Holton, only to try to increase the odds of beating him. With your combined efforts, you pulled out a few victories, yet it was still a challenge, and he was clearly a professional. Vincent, come get your man. If these were his skills now, rusty and disused, you couldn't even imagine what a deadly opponent he had been in the past. Despite that, you still had fun working actually fostered a sense of camaraderie. I hate words. With the others. Mr. Holton didn't appear fazed by the strategy. You actually wondered whether the increase in challenge made it more interesting for him. What are words exactly? You spent the rest of the afternoon together with your family and the Holtons. Having fun, it was interesting evening for sure, and for many discoveries for everyone. It was freeing yet simultaneously you felt more tied together than you had before. Ah, oh, damn! No spicy. Ooh, I got that one like under an hour. Let me see if I can get this one under an hour too. God. Light filtered down through the leaves of an oak tree overhead, casting a speckled shadow on the sidewalk all around you. There was a drop of sweat slowly making its way down the side of your face. You flicked it off with the thumb, slowly stopping in the cool shade. The day you were out and about in town, in no hurry to go anywhere. In particular, your morning shift had just ended and there was nothing else planned for the rest of the afternoon. Your moms were still at work themselves, and Lizzie had left early in the morning to do something. You had no idea what. You took out your phone, idly noting the time when it started to buzz and the screen lit up in your hand. Speak of the devil, Liz messaged you. Come home ASAP. Before you can begin to question, your phone went off again. Nothing bad, you have to see this, so come back already. With that final message, you were only left slightly less confused than you were before. You hadn't seen much of your sister lately. She must have been acting strange for days, always shutting herself in her room. Which wouldn't be weird if, at the dinner table, she didn't start smirking to herself over nothing. It was rare times you did see her. She would sneak you unexpected looks like she was waiting to be asked what's up. All your questions led to nowhere. She asked you with a put-upon sigh, proclaimed that she was busy, and then she'd tell you she would have to talk about it later. No hints, no guesses. Whatever it was, she was determined to keep it a secret. Maybe now you could finally find out what it was? Oh, it's this. As you did, about face on the sidewalk. Yeah, fuck it. Sidewalk, started heading home, you received more texts. To your surprise, the name that popped up on the screen this time was Coase. Did you hear from Liz? About something urgent that you have to see? She messaged Code too? You weren't surprised. Liz teased him about it, but he was like family. However, you struggled to understand how he fit into Liz's surprise. Yeah, Liz sent me the same thing. What is it about? Is there something on fire? Why would Liz tell you her news? His reply only came seconds later as you waited across the street. I figured she would. What are you going to see what's up? I'm walking there now. Me too. Glanced up, you saw the light change to the walk sign while you were busy texting. You hurried to wrap things up, texting Cove a quick goodbye before crossing the street. It was fine, you would see him later anyway. Not expecting any more messages, you put your phone away so you could walk without having to worry about tripping over the curb. You trip over the curb and you just accept it. Thankfully, it was a short trek home, and soon enough you were walking up your street and a familiar face of your house was already in view. Thinking of what might be waiting at home made you worried, left you entirely lost, or felt excited. I know what's waiting. As weird as it was for Liz to involve Cove, you felt like it had to be something fun if she went out of her way to include him. You're itching to find out what it was. Lost in your thoughts, you almost didn't see who was walking further up the street. Cove. Even from the back, his bright sea green color of his hair was unmistakable. You quickened your pace to catch up to him, and the scuff of your shoes loudly against the pavement, he heard it instantly. Not missing a beat that he turned around and slowed his steps in sync.
Hey.
Hey. Here we are at my house. At that, Cove gave you a wise smile. Here we are. It almost sounded like a question, wondering why the two of you had been summoned there. Any ideas what Liz waits for us? Wants us for? You shook your head, and the situation was out of character for your sister. Anything could happen. Well, I guess we should go in and find out. Taking his cue, you grabbed your keys and opened the front door, and Cove trailed behind you as you entered. You jumped through the open door, scanning every which way for the surprise. From the entryway, you could see Liz pacing around the living room, her smiling gaze intent on her phone, and you caught her just as she completed a turn back at you and when the door clicked shut. The second she heard it, her head darted up to your direction, her features lighten up the sight of you and Cove. Ah, you arrived together too. That's perfect, just perfect. She flashed you a radiant smile, and you could almost see her limbs vibrating as she was poised to pounce. Cove raised an eyebrow at your sister's bizarre behavior. What's going on? This better be important. You're in a good mood today, so what is it? Where is it? What are you going to show us? You waited to see what she would reveal. Sure, I'll do the excited one. Liz laughed at your rapid-fire questioning. Calm down, you'll see. Liz eyes narrowed with a mischievous, yep, fuck it, glint as she let out a little cackle. So lately I've been working hard on a little plan of mine, and the two of you get the honor of seeing it all come together. Here it is. Surprise! You guys ready for the surprise? Lifted her hand in the air to present the very comfortable but completely mundane living room. In result of silence, you and Cove glanced at around again, and then made eye contact with each other, and his face mirrored your bafflement. And then suddenly a voice rang out.
Surprise!
Surprise! Ah. Cove flinched at the shout. His shoulders shoot up straight to his ears. Laughter came from your sister, as well from the other side of the room. Guess who? He back! Oh darn, Kayla's not here. Your head whipped around just in time to see the familiar figure and freckled face and purple cat springing up from behind the back of the couch. Well, there he is. Ko's mouth fell open, recognition immediately coming to him. Shiloh? Hi, Cove. Hi, Sophia. Shiloh greeted the two of you so casually, like it's only been gone for 10 days rather than 10 years. Shiloh, you were too stunned to speak. What in the world were you doing there? You began to laugh, but I thought you weren't the Shiloh we knew. You're actually here. Shiloh! Like Cove, you found yourself shouting at your long-lost companion's name out of sheer disbelief. It couldn't be him, but it was really him, here in your own living room. With a wide grin on her face, Lizzie snickered and clapped her hands together as a pleased child after a fruitful night of trick-or-treating. You and Co's reaction were offered her bucket full of treats. As amazed as you were still wondering about one thing. What happened? You had no idea who we are when we ran into each other. Shiloh's gaze self-consciously dropped to the side, and he tucked the brim of his hat down, bracing himself to the answer, but Liz waved a hand at him as if to say nothing to worry about. Fuck now. I'll explain. When I got home that day, I changed my mind about letting it go. Why did I have to? Social media exists, right? So I thought, why not try to find him? Send him a little reminder message. Luckily, there's only so many 17-year-old Shiloh Fields in the world, and it wasn't too hard to do. Hearing Liz, this is me when I go check to figure out what people from my elementary school do now. Hearing Liz speak seemed to encourage Shiloh, who pulled himself together to face the both of you and your sister with a careful smile. Of course.
Sorry.
I'm really sorry about what happened. When you talked to me the first time, I was in the middle of a tour for a school field trip and I couldn't get separated from the group. I expect anyone to want to talk to me. I was so worried about getting back to everyone that I didn't think too hard on what you were saying. But when Lizzie's message showed up, everything suddenly hit me. Lizzie, Sophia, and Cove, and the kids from Sunset Bird. Back when I was a little kid. Alright, I'm gonna head out, Wolfie. Enjoy your stream. Bye, Vincent! Have a good rest of your day or night. There's no way I could forget that. Not for real. I do know all of you, and I'm happy to get to see you again. I have Lizzie to thank for that. My mom was already planning to take a short trip near here for summer.
Well,
If my mom could bring me along, Lizzie offered to pick me up and bring me the rest of the way so I could visit the neighborhood again. And that's why I decided to make it a big reveal and sell outright, telling you two that I got back in contact with Shiloh. Once again, she lifted a hand in the air, promptly presenting the long-lost childhood friend you all shared. So, ta-da! It was impressive how it all came together. Alright, still pretty stupid of you not to realize sooner. You were glad that they were all able to see each other again. You were amused at their stuff. You weren't sure about the whole thing. You smiled softly at Liz, remembering how Shiloh used to follow your sister around like a baby chick after his mom when they were kids. It's nice to see the two of you together like this, just like old times. Cove blinked slowly, still a little dazed by everything that was going on.
uh-huh.
Okay, and I'm gonna go get some water. Don't disappear or anything. He padded off to the kitchen. No need for a chaperone. He knew where the cups were. Wow, I'm really surprised him, Lizzie. And Sophia too. Did you see her face when I appeared? Yes, I did. Lizzie patted the cushioned front of the couch. Make yourself comfortable. You don't have to keep hankering down behind there anymore. With a laugh, Shiloh crossed around the backside and took a seat, but maybe it was awkward being the only one sitting, so he kept idly twiddling his fingers. You could hear him humming to himself a nonsense tune with no real melody. Something to keep his voice busy. Being here again made more nerve-wracking for him than he let it on. Cove's soft voice announced his return. He paused to drag the back of his hand across his mouth, wiping away the droplets of water lingering there. Hi, Shiloh. Welcome back. At Cove's confused greeting, Shiloh laughed cheerfully.
Thanks.
I think it's amazing that you're all still here in the same neighborhood. It's just like how it was back then. With the giggle implied differently, Lizzie nodded in your general direction. There has been some changes since then. You narrowed your eyes at Lizzie, and there was no way you could miss the teasing look as she fixed on you and Cove with, "No, yes." No changes. Shiloh shifted across the group and smiled politely, but there was a slight tilt to his eyebrows. He didn't know what to make of what she was saying. That was until Cove cleared his throat and spoke. Sophia and I are dating. It was fascinating how red he got after saying it. His voice was steady and confident. By now, most people knew you were going out. Shiloh's eyes went wide as saucers, the mouth open into a tiny little O shape.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Just gonna let him. The two of you seemed to like each other when we were kids, and it was really sweet that you two are together. Oh, fuck. You silently blush. Cove got himself a keeper. It's not amazing. It was pretty in the envelope that you were gonna end up together. I wouldn't want to be with anyone else, or you just smiled at Cove. Fucking toot my own fucking horn. You lifted your head high in confidence, so what if it sounded cocky? Were you wrong? Cove made a snort sound into his fist, but the warm look that he gave you out of the corner of his eye seemed to agree with your sentiment. Shiloh sighed happily for a moment as Cove raised an eyebrow and gave the room a considering glance. Hey, this is where we met the first time, remember? Right after I moved in, me and Sophia were brought down right here to have a play date with you. Shiloh laughed, his eyes downcast as he fiddled with the corner of his collar shirt. We met on the hill behind the house. What? You two ran away from the living room because Cove didn't want to meet me. You grimaced, remembering how Cove gone straight to the window to escape the arranged meeting, and you gone with him when Shiloh had arrived. Cove cringed at the memory of his younger self being pushed back to the forefront of his mind, his mouth gone tight, and he was awkward looked away from Shiloh. You have good memory.
Oh?
I didn't think so. Seeing this place again just brings back a lot of things back. He clapped his hands together and an idea suddenly came to him. Hey, now that our group is together, do you want to go out and visit some old places? I've been hiding in the living room since I got here. Liz wasn't afraid to laugh at herself, bringing a hand to her chest, silently taking the blame for that. Love to. Yeah. Without missing a beat, the others turned to you for answers. Definitely. Where to first? Why not? You suddenly nodded your assent? You shrugged in reply, you look hesitant. Definitely. Sounded like fun. With that, the four of you headed out into the neighborhood as one. Even how short the time being you spent indoors was, the sun momentarily blinded once you left the house. Squinting, you brought your hand up to shield your eyes. The pleasant summer day had yet to go away. A few wispy clouds drifted along the sky. As you strolled down the way, Liz took the lead, followed by you and Cove, walking side by side. Shiloh freely took to walking in the middle of the road, arms idly swinging back and forth at the side, as he turned his head every which way to take in as much as he could. It was very much a trip down memory lane for him, and you wondered how much of the neighborhood changed in his eyes. Not a word passed between the group about where you're heading first. Soon enough, you found yourself walking down the usual path, the shopping street. Before you could reach it, the sound of it did. A collective of sandals tracking the sand, shrill calls of seagulls, overlapping conversations of beachgoers, random strains of music from various stalls. Wow. An awe gas came from Shiloh, and his face were all lit up. Were there always so many different shops in one place?
Yeah.
Of course. Wow. I can see so many people come here. Hey, do they still have those nice little ice cream stands? Yeah, that hasn't changed. Yay! Should we get some? It's my treat. Thanks, Shiloh. Ice cream sounds perfect on a hot day. How about you, Cove? You could see, unlike Liz, Cove was struggling with a decisive brow wrinkled in thought. Finally, a hesitant smile appeared on his face as he settled on keeping to the spirit of the special occasion. Sounds good to me. Awesome. And Sophia? I like that. I don't want anything. I'd rather pay myself. I'll buy one for me and one for you, Shiloh. I don't want one. I'll pay for yours, Shiloh. Thanks. Free ice cream. Shiloh gave you a wide grin as if you were the one buying him the ice cream. The four of you continued to walk as ice cream plans were further discussed. Are you getting a popsicle, Lizzie? Yes. Hearing that, Shiloh smiled shyly. Oh god, tongue twisters. I thought you still might like that. I'm gonna get an ice cream cone. Shiloh began to turn towards Cove, but before he can ask, Cove offered up his choice. I'll get an ice cream sandwich. I'm gonna get a popsicle, an ice cream cone, or an ice cream sandwich. Popsicle. Following my footsteps. That's touching. Get out of here, Liz. You slowly shook your head at her like you might at a fucking hell or yep, fucking at a child you allowed to get whatever treat that you wanted. You still like those two? Cool. Yep. Because this fucker wouldn't tell me what he wanted as a popsicle as a kid. There was an ice cream stall further up the street across from a souvenir shop displaying postcards of seaside and saltwater taffy in its windows. The stand itself was already hard to miss with its pastel pinks and blues, and it was eye-catching poster board listing of every individual flavor. It was impossible to ignore one of the catchy little jingles playing from its speaker was added. Shiloh greeted the owner and began picking out the treats that everyone had chosen. He paid for them before handing them out to their respective owners. Sinking your teeth into the popsicles, you relished a sweet chill it had left in your mouth. Lizzie was right. This is the perfect treat for the summer day. Around you, everyone was eating at their own pace. Lizzie held her popsicle away from herself, careful not to let it drip onto her dress. She tried to go about eating it in delicate as she could while Shiloh dug into his. You counted only 2 to 3 bites before Cove devoured his sandwich. Cove. Shiloh laughed, noticed the way that Cove inhaled his food. It's already finished. Cove shrugged in a little reply, and his attention were more focused on crumbing up the little sandwich paper wrapper in his hand. So, what have you been doing around here since I've been gone? Well, I've already told you about me attending college away from here, so I don't really live here anymore. But to be more specific on my life, I'm pursuing a degree in architecture. Shiloh perked up at that, his mouth following open in awe. Awe? Amazing!
Thanks.
Actually, I was thinking about it the first time I decided I really liked building. Building them was with you and I making sandcastles out on the beach.
Aww.
At such a sincere admiration from your sister, all Shiloh could do was blush and lower his head, too flattered to know what else to say. Lizzie laughed, and just as flustered as though she had been the one to say it, the atmosphere was awkward, but not unpleasant. Shiloh shyly glanced over to you and Cove. Then what have you two been up to, and what about you two? What have you been up to?
Oh.
Me and Sophia just graduated high school, I mean. Not hanky-panky. He just told you he was demisexual. So in other words, he was asexual for a while. That's why I was laughing so much when you guys were like, no hanky-panky, and I was like, he's ace. Or demi. But I'm his only true love, so haha. I got a part-time job and I volunteer at this organization to clean up stuff, things like that. You nodded along with Cove. You idly explained what you were doing, normal things. It's a secret. You explained how you had a lot of plans. I'm mainly taking it easy right now. You felt like there wasn't anything super interesting to share about your life, but you cared about what was important to you, but you knew it wasn't always the same for other people. Demi and Ace are different, so there's still a strong chance for Hanky. Shiloh seemed happy to hear it.
Great!
Being around him again was a little like picking up an old forgotten habit. Clunky at first, but the four of you started talking and it started to come more and more natural. When one of you ran out of things to say, another one else remembered something new. Oh, do you remember those mean old nuts, actually grandparents that used to live in our neighborhood? Yeah, they were so mean. Well, they're not here anymore. Oh no. They're actually not spending summers here anymore, and they're still alive. Oh, thank goodness. We murdered them after we ding-dong ditched their houses when we were kids. Mwah. It helped that Shiloh was actually eager to hear what was going on in his absence as people were telling him. Soon, everyone threw out their trash in a nearby garbage can as your group made their way down to the beach. Going to the shore, I hate that word. Led to a certain spot. It didn't take long for Shiloh to recognize what was in the distance. His words trailed off into the middle of a sentence and his footsteps faltered at first. Then all at once he broke away to the group, dashing right to the old park, giggling as he ran. Everything's so small. Look at the little small park. His laughter petered out as he came to a stop by the swings and grabbed one of the support poles. He walked in a little circle around it, marveled at how easy his hand wrapped around the thing entirely. Emboldened by Shiloh's enthusiasm, Lizzie propped herself down on one of the swing sets, only to instantly show the expression of regret. There was no way she was comfortable in the tiny swing so low to the ground. Not that she had to scrunch up her legs to fit in there. Shiloh creeped up behind her and took one of the chains of her swing in each hand.
Seriously?
With a grin, Shiloh started to walk back, and Lizzie shifted in her seat to look at him. You can't be trying to push me. These are for kids. It's not gonna work. But Shiloh just hummed and kept pulling her back. Resigned to her fate, Lizzie tucked her legs in as much as possible as Shiloh moved his hands to her back. With a running start, he got her forward and up as far as he could go before jumping out of the way. Lizzie had her eyes squeezed shut and a shriek escaped as the swing started to fall backwards and swung back around. There was Shiloh again there to push her. She couldn't kick the ground like when you were kids. Her legs were too long for that now. But Shiloh was pushing her enough to keep the momentum going. The air was filled with their wild laughter and almost rhythmic jingle of the swing chains. Cove sat against the bar of the jungle gym, wearing a bent smile as he watched them fiddling with something and turned it over and over in his hands. You cranked your neck to get a better view, and he I'm having a trouble with words today. I say that like I am not every day. He lifted it for you to see. It was a piece of shell, one side rough and moltedly gray, and the other side was completely smooth. It revealed a faint blue sheen when it was caught in the light. I saw it on the beach. It's nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's a good one. No, I meant Shiloh. He seems more confident than I remember. I think so too. It's amazing to be playing with Shiloh at the park again. You thought it was crazy how much time passed. Why don't you push me on the swing like that? You left the conversation there. I don't think I will ever forget this. Cove nodded, leaning back to enjoy the breeze blowing in from the sea. Soon your sister began to speak out. All right. I'm ready to get off now. How do you stop this? Just jump. Don't worry. Shiloh braced himself, one foot planted forward as the swing started to come back down. Then with a quick motion, he reached up and caught the chains again. With the impact of his feet skidding back in the sand, he kept his stance steady. If Liz was surprised at the sudden being brought to the halt, she didn't show it, only tilting her head up to smile at him. Shiloh had yet to catch his breath, though returned a smile just as brightly. He let go of the chains, walking around the swing set and briefly rubbing his hands together before offering one to Liz, and she gracefully accepted, only needing help to get out of the tiny seat. Then the two of them made their way back over to you and Cove. Lizzie looked more ruffled than usual. Her sun hat was off-kiltered and having held it on for dear life the entire ride. She took a moment to straighten out her outfit back into place. That looked like fun. It was. Even though you were the one pushing me on the swing. Yep, that was the fun part.
Huh.
Hey, Shiloh. You got an idea what our lives would have been like since... Got an idea what our lives have been like since you have been gone, but I've been wondering about what happened to you after you moved away. Shiloh's eyes widened, as if he was surprised to hear. You don't recall him talking about himself when you were all telling stories, but he hadn't been able to find the right timing. He brought his hand to his chin, tapping it thoughtfully as he looked up to the side. Well, what happened was my mom decided to move back south, closer to where I was born. We stayed there a few years until she got another job offered in California again, thanks to a connection she had there. It was a really good job at a boarding school, so she decided to take it. With a wide grin, he said in the next part, as a bonus, her kid, me, gets to attend the school and live in the dorms for free, and I've been there since my second year of middle school. Pretty soon, I'm gonna start my last year of high school. Lizzie leaned forward him with a attentive smile on her face. Have you been doing well there? Getting good grades? Got any friends? At the list of questions, Shiloh held his hand in front of him, as if they were physical things he could dive off.
Yeah.
Yeah, to everything. It can be a little hard sometimes because how people are at that school, but I'm happy. How people are? Cove couldn't have guessed what that meant, and Lizzie folded her arms and scowling. Don't tell me there's more people like that Nate guy hanging around. Ooh. Shiloh rubbed his cheek, laughing nervously. He glanced at the bars of the jungle gym, laced to Lace's shoes, to the tree swaying in the distance, unsure of where his gaze, or where to rest his gaze. Not exactly. Nate doesn't mean to be mean, he just kinda is. He's the school's #1 performer for athletes and athletics. He always takes on so much responsibility that it's only possible way he can finish it all if there's absolutely nothing going wrong. But that's impossible, so he always stressed and ready to snap. He can't handle it when someone seems to be causing a problem. That's why during the field trip he was upset I went off on my own like that. Still, he's really smart and reliable and sensitive and cares a lot. Most of the time, he doesn't realize his ways of dealing with stuff upsets other people. Cove had a patient smile on his face, listening earnestly as Shiloh ran it off his list of Nate's good traits. Well, I'm getting ready for the stream. I know, I saw you boot up, VTube Studio. Alright. Well, have a good stream. No hanky panky. It's definitely not happening in this one. I know that one for sure. Good. Cove had a patient smile on his face, listening earnestly as Shiloh rattled off his list of Nate's good traits. You know him pretty well. Are you actually friends? Well, not exactly. Me and Nate are in the same after-school group. About once a month, me, him, and 6 other students and the supervisor get together to talk. We did it all last year, and I think next year are going to be the same group again. I guess so. Nice, that's weird. Why would you want to be in a group with them? I'm glad. Just saying that because I know how all of that is, because I did watch the entire thing of XOX droplets. Especially since Shiloh might have to be in the same after-school club as him next year. Lizzie shook her head at your words. It would have been taken much more for her to be convinced that Nate's upstanding character. Personally, I think I still appreciate having a word with Nate about his communication skills. Her tone of voice was low and pointed. You could be worried for Nate, but not for the playful smile that accompanied her words. Shiloh let out a little laugh at that. I do have Nate's number, but he won't pick up. People in my group only answer if they feel like hearing from me. So usually I have to wait for them to call. Either that, or they never even consider answering my calls or calling me. Or talking to me at all, unless the supervisor voices them to. It was a bleak description of his dynamic with the group. He didn't seem to realize until he glanced up and saw the concerned look on everyone's faces. His smile fell, and he hastened to add one more thing. Well, one's for sure who will always answer the call, for sure. Oh? She immediately perked up.
Really?
So, That's a friend of yours? He hesitated to answer, something Cove picked up on. Not exactly. Yeah, I like to be friends, though. Alright. Oh, Kara left already. You guys ready for this? Lizzie crossed her arms together once more, grim-faced, like she was the commander of the ship about to lead her crew into battle. You should call them right now. What? If you want to be friends with them, I can help. If you're going to be in the same group again, you should at least try to get along. No, I can't. He quickly grew flustered, his tongue stumbling over his sentences. I don't want to be a bother.
I mean...
Liz, what are we gonna do? Watch him while he talks to someone on the phone? No, Cove. Shiloh. The last syllable of Shiloh's name trailed off into nothing. As soon as it became clear Lizzie had not fully thought out the plan yet, she wouldn't have been Lizzie if she'd stopped there. Shiloh, you can put them on video call and we can all talk together, of course. She clapped her hands together and a wide smile on her face that didn't leave room for dissenting opinions.
All right.
It's a good idea and it'll work. It's a great idea. It's a terrible idea. Cope is right. You had no words for that. I know who's on that column. My boo from another game. Even though you're shit. Shiloh, get out your phone. Wait, what? Cove gave a long, suffering sigh. Come on, Shiloh. We'll talk to them. Say that we're your friends from out of town. What's the worst that can happen is nothing changes. But once they have more chances to talk to you, I know they'll be convinced to be better friends. It's gonna turn out okay. Shiloh stalled to answer, but his phone was already hovering over one of the pockets in his pants. Alright, we can talk. Yes! Lizzie clenched a hand into a fist and cheered as Shiloh officially reached out into the phone and pulled out his phone out of his pocket. Yep, fuck, that's not the words. You noticed it was the same type of model as you, and it had a red case around it. The screen lit up as Shiloh requested a call with some number in his contacts. None of them had a list of names. He remembered which number belonged to what person. He inched closer to the three of you so everyone could hear better. Vaguely, you wondered how this looked outside, 4 teenagers on the verge of adulthood, hanging out at the old playground, huddling around a single phone. Strange? Suspicious? The ringing of the phone broke you out of your musings? You kept your eye on it, your heart speeding up at the end of each dial tone, thinking, could this be it, or only another to start up? It ringed for a while and you started to think of what Cove said about all of you watching a show. Shiloh talked on the phone. Maybe that wouldn't happen. Nope. Shiloh could sense the awkwardness in the air and smiled, trying to dispel it. This is normal, don't worry. Just as he said, the call ended, not even going to voicemail. Shiloh clicked and redial. He never answers the first call. He always does on the second. That's how he is. At least with most people. There are exceptions. You and Liz and Cove frequently shared an ambiguous look, none of you wanting to accidentally discourage Shiloh, and then you focus on the phone again as it started to ring once more. The jingle suddenly cut off in the middle, followed by a faint sound of white noise. With a big smile and flushed cheeks, Shiloh brought up the phone to his face. A voice low, groggy, and raspy came out of the speakers. Hello. Shiloh, on the other hand, was much more chipper.
Hi.
I'm visiting a town I used to live in when I was little, and I wanted to introduce my group mates to the people I knew back then, and some of them have already met Nate. Can you say hi to them too? With a rushed introduction, Shiloh stuck the phone out towards Cove, gesturing for him to greet the person on the other line. Though Cove hadn't been on board in the beginning, only indication of that now was a lopsided tilted smile. He turned his gaze down to the screen, opening his mouth to speak, only to stutter to a complete stop. Huh? All Cove could do was sputtered and gape at the screen as my battery runs low on my other screen. Dang it. Knew I should have plugged it in. Wrinkled with worry. What? Shiloh's groupmate didn't sound particularly impressed on how this conversation was going so far. Oh, you bitch. My computer turned off. With how this conversation, blah, blah, blah. Shiloh frowned, retracting his arm away from Cove. As he did so, tilting the screen towards you, and you caught a glimpse of what was on the screen. It is. Look at the boy! It is Jeremy! Light green hair, sharp orange eyes, shadowing with bags, icy pale skin, all tied together to make up a scowl of a person who was clearly had no desire to be here. Ha ha ha. Oh, my nose. You had no idea what was going on. You knew him. A flood of memory rose and flashes from one summer years ago of the very same park. You were holding an arrangement of fruit, Derek and Cove at the side. And a kid, mean as a tiny chihuahua, sharp, snapping at everyone who dared to come close. Are you Jeremy? The bowl cut kid. You screamed, quick, hang up the phone. Wow, you look a lot better now. Jeremy drew back, wrinkling his nose in disgust. I am so sorry, Jeremy. You think I'm appealing? What kind of messed up taste do you have? That's an insult to yourself.
So what?
And Cove couldn't help but take his wide eyes off the phone as he spoke now in a very small voice, almost a squeak. Jeremy? Yeah. His reply was mildly annoyed at this point. How do you know his name's Jeremy? You didn't tell them? No, I only called you somebody from my group at school. Jeremy regarded Cove cautiously for the first time, giving the situation a little of his focus. Cove bristled, sucking in a long, deep, dramatic breath.
Oh my god.
All at once, he started to shout that, not just with his voice, he waved his arms around, gesturing wildly as he repeatedly said, oh my god, with all the inflation. Oh my god, oh my god. These antics, Jeremy gave a short huff, sighing through his teeth, and a tiny sounding tinny over the phone speaker. What is this, Shiloh? Are you trying to make me suffer? Are you still mad about what happened at the amusement park? I was on your side, you know. Liz, who had been completely lost this whole time, finally spoke up.
Huh?
What happened at the amusement park? But no one paid mind to that question. I don't know what's going on. Have you met each other before? No. It was immediately reply from Jeremy, but those stinking eyes squint. Wait. And then there was a flash of recognition there as he leaned in, his head forward and scrutinizing the both of you. His eyes, he already had his already wide frown somehow found a way to grow deeper at his realization.
Oh, it's you people. Again.
He didn't have a voice in the other game. The screen immediately went blank and Shiloh gasped. He looked at his phone to the rest of the group. He hung up. Jeremy doesn't hang up on people like that. What happened? Don't look at me. I never met that kid before. You could feel Cove stare, poke, and prodding at the side of your head, and you caught his expression wide-eyed and tense. You knew what happened, and Cove knew what... You knew what happened, and Cove knew what happened, but he wasn't giving an answer to Shiloh. You kept your mouth shut too. I don't know what to tell you. Well, in the past, I kind of dumped a cup of water on him. He earned it.
What?
You... Sophia, really? Your face heated up with embarrassment as you stared at your feet. You nodded. I'm gonna call him back. You can make up. Don't do that. He got what was coming. I do feel bad about it. Why do you care? I do kind of feel bad. Only because I dated him in the other game and he was my favorite. Like, I seriously, when I first played this, I didn't realize it was him. Like, I recognized Shiloh, but I didn't believe it was him. Like, I didn't believe any of this was related to the other game. Like, I didn't even know it was the same company until I saw grown-up Shiloh. And I was like, wait a moment, hold the fucking phone. And then I looked up the company. I was like, oh, it's the same thing, because like the art style was completely different. And I was like, oh, that's cute that they ended him in the other game. And then when I saw this, I was like, oh, I dumped a cup of water on my boo. No. I like full-blown freaked out and I walked downstairs and grabbed ice cream because I was freaking out so bad. It was only for a moment, but you caught Shiloh brief pause as he was redialing and you wondered if he had something he wanted to say, but he chose against voicing it in the end. The phone rang for a long time, long enough that you were surprised when Jeremy actually picked up. He answered with an even longer sigh.
What?
Shiloh held the phone close to his face, looking down the screen with a large, apologetic eyes. Are you okay? I'll be better if you hadn't called back.
Aww.
Jeremy, can't we talk it over? I don't want any of us fighting.
Do I have to?
I didn't remember him having a voice. Yeah, I think so. Shiloh held his phone out towards you and Cove once more. Next to you, Cove glared defensively and silent. You refused to speak. Hi there. This is a bad idea. Glad you remembered me. Sorry for dumping my cup of water on you. Okay, what's up? You didn't expect that to ever come back to haunt you, but here you were. Finally, Jeremy's shoulders drooped dipped slightly, and he made the most exaggerated sigh you have ever heard since the previous one, at least.
Sorry.
I don't remember what I did or what I said to you, but sorry. What? Jeremy sighed again. You sensed the pattern, and his gaze rolled over to Cove. I do know what I was like as a kid. Well, okay, but who's that apology for? Better be for me and Sophia. He spoke sternly, though there was no way of hiding the shakiness present. That didn't matter. Cove was coming to your defense by confronting Jeremy, brought a warm smile to your face. Jeremy, on the other hand, continued to be unimpressed, and the corner of his lip twitched. I didn't need to know what teenage guy equivalent to smush squeaked is, but now I do. Thanks for that. What? A small, offended noise escaped to Cove. Unfortunately, it was also squeaked as his face immediately burned red with embarrassment. Hey, that's my squeak toy you're talking about. He laughed. What a perfect description of what Cove is exactly. That's it. You better not step foot in this town again. With Cove, you pointed a finger for added emphasis, and Cove huffed in disbelief. But he couldn't fight the smile tucked at his mouth. Jeremy didn't react and continued to watch the four people in the other end of this unwanted call. Lack a day's desk. Yep.
Whatever.
Apologies for whoever. Anyone who dealt with me back then, wasn't having a good time. Sophia just had the spine to not take it, and that's whatever. Amazing Cove took a few process moments before he could respond. He blinked and rubbed the back of his neck. Thanks. I mean, no problem. He looked away. I still got my eyes on you. I accept your apology. Thank you, Jeremy. This is honestly incredible. Okay, I accept your apology. This was absolutely the last thing that you expected today, but it couldn't be helped. But pleased it happened. Whatever. Following Cove's eyes, you watched it dart from Shiloh to Jeremy, openly wondering what had happened to Jeremy over the years. So, you're nice now?
Nope.
I don't throw tantrums or pick fights anymore, but I'm not nice. Jeremy shook his head in disbelief. That squeak toy comment wasn't a compliment, you know. I don't have the energy to get angry and worked up like I was as a kid. It's all pointless now. I'm just miserable. His tone was even grumpier than usual, dragging the syllables out as the last word for added emphasis. Yep. Oh. An awkward laugh escaped from Shiloh, and he pulled his mouth into a demure smile. Don't let what Jeremy says about himself get you down. He's got people who cares about him. Make sure he's okay, like me. Don't listen to Shiloh. It's nice that you're looking out for someone, Shiloh. I don't care if Jeremy is sad or not. I'm still not over the fact that the two of you know each other. Krusty! How you doing? You didn't say anything. I'll be nice to Shiloh. Sleepy. I get that. I'm going to end up finishing this one, and I know Karo's streaming, so I'm gonna end up rating her. But I know this thing goes on for a little longer. And it is way longer than the last one. So, whoop. Oh, hell yeah. Shiloh blushed at the comment while Jeremy fixed you with a blank stare. Thanks, Sophia. Okay, seriously, how long am I meant to be out of the loop here? Her expression twisted into frustration as Lizzie rubbed her right temple. Why am I the only one who doesn't know this kid? Shiloh goes to school with him, that's fine, but how did the two of you meet him and I didn't? I'll try explaining it to her. You were there, I think. He was around town one summer about 5 years ago. Is that all? Seemed that Liz was a bit seemed a bit underwhelmed, Shiloh appeared to be utterly amazed, and you hold back a small laugh.
Really?
You knew Jeremy as a little kid? What was he like? I only known him for a year and a half. Well, his voice immediately hushed into nothing, and you could see Cove wince just thinking about those past encounters. I'm going to out this boy so hard. You reflected on that as well. Actually, Cove does a really good Jeremy impression. Why don't you do that instead? You got an impression of me, huh? Cove's body stiffened in fear. Jeremy leaned forward just a little bit. This poor boy. I put him through so much shit. Sure, go ahead, do it. Jeremy spoke dispassionately, but it somehow seemed to felt like a dare. Yeah, that'll be great. Cove shook his head, along with the stifled laugh, and he was sweating in place. I really shouldn't. It's not very flattering. I bet. More broken chuckles fell out of him, and Cove turned his face towards the ground.
Sorry.
Drooping your shoulders, you accepted that Cove wasn't going to do the impression. Shiloh frowned in disappointment. Jeremy groaned at the atmosphere. Whatever, I'll do my own impression.
You are stupid, you are stupid, you are stupid, and don't forget, you are stupid.
This is like the most voice acted part in this entire thing. He delivered the rapid-fire insults at a blinding, annoying tone. After a pause, he went back to his normal tone of complete disinterest. So like that, but louder and cheery. I'm not gonna yell for this. That was amazing. That was a weak impression. Sheesh, I can do a better impression than that. You laughed, you shook your head. Jeremy didn't say anything, and the only reaction you got out of him was a slight eyebrow raise, and you took it as an invitation to go ahead with it. Visiting the beach town to see my extended family is torture. Why can't I sit alone in the dark, do nothing? My life is so hard.
Yep.
Yep, that was pretty much right. At the confirmation, Shiloh burst into uncontrollable laughter. When he calmed moments later, gasping for a breath, there was still a wide grin plastered on his face. I can't imagine Jeremy being like that. I can't imagine him not being like that. Both of them chuckled again, and Cove's mouth pulled into a bent smile. I mean, Jeremy hasn't made fun of my eyebrows once this whole conversation. Unbelievable.
Huh.
Jeremy blinked and focused all his attention on the Cove. His eyes unmistakably narrowed on the eyebrows and didn't say anything at first, and then his words came out in a mumble. That makes sense. I guess I insulted eyebrows just as I did when I was a kid. I completely forgot about the entire eyebrow section of the game. What does that mean? What do you think it means? You weren't the only kid in the world with bad eyebrows. You're not the only one I picked on it for.
Seriously?
I wasn't? Couldn't help yourself, could you? Nope. Wow. So, what made their eyebrows bad? Are you curious if yours is better by terrible eyebrow standards, at least? Yeah, kind of.
Sigh.
He said sigh out loud. Incredulous, yeah, fuck it. Cove looked from Jeremy to you and then back to him again. You had a question if you heard it right, but he spoke the word sigh instead of actually sighing. Noticing the reaction, Jeremy sighed for real, but continued to answer Cove's question. This guy has particularly odd hair coloring, white hair, but only the top of his head. Every other strand of his body is dark brown, including his immensely bushy eyebrows, and he was born that way, and it's not dyed. So, you were the scrawny boy with dumb wavy eyebrows, and he was the white-haired boy with stupid caterpillar eyebrows. I can't tell if he's talking about Pran or Everett. Ow. Unexpectedly, a loud gasp came from Shiloh at the description. No! You picked on Pran? Yeah, okay, it was Pran. For his eyebrows? I did. And I'm sure you found it hilarious. No, it's not that funny. So he says, but Shiloh is smothered laughter. An unconvinced note in Jeremy's voice didn't surprise you. Okay, wait. Give me a second. Let me just... Jeremy rolled his eyes in the slowest, most exaggerated way possible. When he made a complete circle, he spoke flatly when Shiloh broke into a fit of giggles. There. Who's Pran? Shiloh, do you know him too?
Well,
Jeremy and Pran are known each other for a long time, and they managed to go to the same boarding school later on. I met them both there last spring of last year and were group mates. Jeremy's gaze slid away from Shiloh, and he looked somewhere between you and Cove. Pran and I met about 4.5 years ago, back when I was still an intolerable brat and Pran was meek. I can only imagine how amazing that combination was. Yeah. It must have been those group meeting awkward. It made those group meeting awkward. Nope. Somehow, some way, for some reason, Pran chose to stubbornly stick with me for as long as we've known each other. He's my best friend. What? It's surprising, I know. I have a best friend, and it's a caterpillar brow guy of all people. But I guess things balance out in the end. Pran's stupid, stupid. Just call Pran stupid, and it's not even in there. I'm sorry, Pran. Pran's timid nature was good and dead. He grew up to be colder than me. I'm mopey and broody, and a perfect match. 2 peas in a ruined everyone's life pod.
gross.
Don't quote Everett. There's Everett. Cove whined after Jeremy snapped at his last remark. Now, who's Everett? You don't want to know. Yeah, you don't want to know. Everett was fun, though. His fashion skills were weird. Shiloh hummed, and he watched his 3 old friends with amused smile as he was having fun. Before you could say anything, Jeremy continued. Everett is also part of the group, unfortunately. I see no hanky-panky. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. I thought it was going to happen in the last one, but no. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure there are two. There are two, but I can't tell. They're going to be definitely in the last floor. It's not, or if anything, it's going to happen in the epilogue of step 3. We'll definitely get one in the 4. But he chose to not elaborate further than that. Lizzie sighed this time. You could feel her frustration and you couldn't blame her for that. She hadn't been able to participate much at all. That's it, gotta restart the game. She didn't know Jeremy then, so there was no bias for reminiscing now. And now there's a 10-year gap in her history with Shiloh, and the whole situation stuck in an odd chord with you. Two boys that you knew separately came to know each other, and now that they know each other much better than you know any of them, or know any of you. Shiloh was almost a stranger. You shrugged the feeling off, you didn't know how to feel, you were on the same page with Lizzie, you felt down. You were glad to see things were going alright, you felt annoyed how things unfolded. Yeah, they were going alright. We just knew each other as kids. You don't do very much as kids. Jeremy hadn't left the call, and you were learning bits and pieces about Shiloh's new world outside of Sunset Bird. And you were both taking in as little wins. You were taking it in as little wins. Turning to the three of you, Shiloh smiled apologetically, and you wondered if he was picking up on how in the dark Cope and Liz were feeling. Not me, I was just like, I'm vibing. I was like, it's my old boo from a different game. His perception when he's perceptive when he wants to be. Hey, is there anything you want to hear about Jeremy? I can tell you all about him. We should get to know each other better. Don't do that. I'll be okay. Jeremy whined, but Shiloh brushed off his comment and he remained happily focused on the rest of you, and Lizzie perked up at the conversation shift. That sounds great. We should get to know Jeremy. So, who wants to go first? Despite being eager, it was obvious that Liz didn't have any idea of herself, and Jeremy let out a long sigh. Oh my god, here we go. Okay, when's his birthday? What's his full name? Can I get his number? What his parents like? Hates his parents. Does he have any siblings? I think that's a no. Does he have hobbies? He works at a fucking hobby shop. Is he doing well in school? How tall is he? What happened to the bowl cut and eyeglasses? I'm fucking asking that. What did happen at the amusement park? Is he single? I'm pretty sure we don't get an answer for that. Or I don't have any questions. Should I go just straight out of the gate? Can I get his number? What? Why?
Alright.
Sure. Yes, Shiloh, hook me up. Ignoring Jeremy's again, Shiloh immediately started listing off the number for you, and Jeremy grimaced while you contently saved it to your contact. I know. What happened to the bowl cut and eyeglass? Or the glasses? He had a bowl cut? That sent Shiloh into a fit of laughter while Jeremy shook his head disapprovingly. Through the chuckles, Shiloh continued with his best guess.
Right.
His mom and dad probably decided back then, or that he picked, or they developed a new taste over the years. As for glasses, Jeremy wears contacts at school, and when he's out and about, he wears glasses, and when he's home or working a part-time job at his parents' hobby shop. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we don't get an answer for this one because I think it's kind of up in the air who the MC of the other game is dating. That had Shiloh giggling, and he stared down at the screen. Jeremy isn't in anything official, but he does have someone he goes on dates with from time to time. You call that dating? I call it punishment for all the wrongdoings in my life. Cove scrunched his face and glanced at you, and he wasn't sure he heard Jeremy correct, and Shiloh smiled understandably. It's complicated. She makes him happy against his will. How unfortunate? Yeah, that MC is so weird. Like, that game is weird. It's pretty much what it is that you're dating a bunch of jerks. And it's kind of fucking great. Shiloh started chuckling again, and Jeremy, on the other hand, let out a long sigh, clearly done with the current topic. How tall is he? 5'5". He is like 1 inch shorter than me. He's kind of short. Rude. It's his birthday. May 4th. He's a Taurus. Oh, I'm the same. Jeremy refused to comment on that, instead rolled his eyes. Full name: Jeremy Maron King. Isn't it neat? Why do you even know that? Are you planning on stealing my identity? That got a laugh out of you and Jeremy's side. You can have it. Okay. Does he have any siblings? Nope. Jeremy is the only kid, and he doesn't have pets either. Although Pran spends almost no time with his family and a lot with Jeremy's. So they're kind of like sibling relationship. I don't bring Pran into this awful thing. Okay. What are their parents like? They're nice and optimistic. They work really hard and they can be smothering, sort of. They usually embarrass Jeremy. Jeremy seemed unenthused by Shiloh's answer. Does he have any hobbies? Reading and crafty handwork stuff. Oh, and archery. Jeremy is really talented. Cool. Or seriously, that's cool. Jeremy scoffed at the compliments. He clearly wanted to move on from the conversation. Does he do well in school? Yeah. Nate still is doing the best, but Jeremy gets a respectable scores. Or, unless by doing well you mean to ask if he's having a good time or making friends, then in case, no, he's not. You weren't sure how to respond to that, but glancing back at Jeremy, he rolled his eyes. What did happen at the amusement park? Oh, I don't know. I can only think of one time that we were both there. I'm not sure what part he's talking about. As far as I could tell, I didn't do anything to upset him. I know he didn't do anything to me. That's what you're going with, Shiloh? Jeremy, what happened? I'm not going to tell you, it's mutilating. And Shiloh knows I'm not going to say anything. It's why he won't explain it either. For several quiet moments, everyone stared at Shiloh and Jeremy in confusion. Shiloh had a similar look on his face before averting his eyes. I'm sorry. I can't help you with that one, Sophia. You're avoiding it. That's all I can think of. Cool, thanks for asking. Cove, do you have any questions for Jeremy? Stunned, it took a moment for Cove to recover being put on the spot. But ultimately, his eyes shifted from Shiloh and locked on Jeremy's, and they remained like that long enough that it was as if they could speak telepathically. Alright, yeah, I have a question, but Shiloh can't answer. Fine, ask me, let's get this over with. What do you think of me? Even if you don't think I'm tough or something, do you feel like I'm stupid and wrong about everything? A crack formed in I fucked up on that word earlier, and now I think I got it. Expression, and he barely opened his eyes, lifting a little more, but he spoke flatly. My opinions on stuff is basically the less important thing you could ever worry about. It's pointless. Well, I'm still asking, so... Cove, right? That's your name? Cove nodded. There's a tint of pink in his cheek, and he was bashfully rubbing his arm.
Okay.
Cove. You seem like the guy who cares a lot about things that don't matter, and it sounds pretty dumb to me, and I outgrew that years ago. And as soft as you're acting, isn't something I would ever do, basically. But you know what's the absolute dumbest thing really is? Ko shook his head with creased brows, and he leaned forward just a bit, like he couldn't risk not hearing the revelation Jeremy was going to bestow on him. Making yourself miserable if you don't have to. Oh. If you and the rest of the people here have a way of enjoying existence, then you should go ahead and do that. Stay gentle, happy, and dumb eyebrow guy.
You have my approval, if that's what you wanted.
I hope that all of you have wonderful lives and suffer as little as possible. Wow. The words tumbled out softly, and Cove was earnestly amazed by Jeremy's words.
Thank you.
And you know what's not gonna make you stay happy? What? Talking to a downer like me. So you should end this conversation right now, and none of you should ever call me again for the rest of your lives. Sounds good? I'm inviting him to my wedding. So gonna do it. I have his number now. That sounds good. Alright, that sounds good. Can I hang up already? Aw, wait, Jeremy. I can't never call you again. Don't do it. Don't do it! Why? I want to. He's great. You don't love him? I can't wait. I don't want Shut up, Shiloh. Unfazed, Shiloh laughed and tilted his head. Building something good up only in trying to undercut it. That's Jeremy, I know.
Sorry.
Look at that smirk! I'm only gushing over him because of the other game. Fucking hell. The word dipped in sarcasm as he accompanied it by a smirk, and it was the first time you ever saw him smile this entire time. Gosh. Daddy Carl's not here. She can't know about my other green-haired boy. Ko peeked up meekly in an awkward smile of his own face. The thing is, I wish this was the end of the conversation after we were done talking about Jeremy, but no. We have to talk to this bitch. In my opinion, I like Jeremy, dealing with Jeremy a whole lot more than I do with dealing with Shiloh. In my opinion, it is totally skewed because I'm comparing things to how Jeremy used to be. And I mean, you don't seem that bad. She's streaming. What? Cove needed to look away from Jeremy's painfully sharp eyes to finish his thought.
I mean...
I'd probably be okay to talking with you again. Sigh. Come on, you can have standards now. I want to keep talking to Jeremy. Yeah, Cove, he's pretty cute. I can't date him. Fine, I'm fine with ending the call now. I do think he is that bad. You have no comment. Shh, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna go with this one. Please tell me you're making fun of me. Nope, I mean it. everyone, how are you doing? I'm talking to my old boo from a different game. I'm doing good, but how are you, Menace from the Sky? He's an insufferable jerk, but I like him. He groaned loudly at the affection, but there's a light blush invulnerably appeared on his face, and Lizzie clasped her hand. Wonderful.
Good.
Now we're pretty much closer to this Jeremy kid, and I think we all can get along and be friends. Friends. Jeremy repeated the word back like it was a foreign phrase, and he generally didn't seem to understand. That's right. If we're gonna keep working on it, why don't the five of us? I don't see why the five of us can't be friends. Oh. Here we go, the big reveal. He stared at Liz incredulously for several moments, and her expression twisted into a fresh confusion of her own. Okay, 3 things. First, I only have one whole friend, and that's more than enough. Second, I don't know who you are, and did you even tell me your name at any point? More importantly, one of these people in this friendship is Shiloh Fields, and he and I are never aren't gonna be friends. Why not? And I'm Liz, by the way. Because he's Shiloh. Our relationship is already as good as it's going to be. He's merciful and leaves me be most of the time, and on weird occasion where he needs something, I just get over it. And there he goes away again, and I have the molecule of peace. You know how it works, right? You're in it with me, and we have the best arrangement possible with the way it is. Jeremy looks to Shiloh seriously to back up the of their relationship, but Shiloh shook his head with a laugh. I don't want to hang around too much, but that's because you're shy and you're the only one who thinks that the setup is actually a good idea. Sorry. Jeremy turned to his face to the side and let out another exaggerated sigh. Cove and Liz joined Shiloh's mirth, and Jeremy got no support.
Sigh.
Of course you would say that. Why did I even bother? That's Shiloh's famous memory for you. Lizzie chuckling stopped. Wait, what does that mean, Shiloh's famous memory? What? Whatever. Basically, Shiloh's annoyingly remembers everything that happened for all eternity. At least until some piece of the information that isn't helpful anymore, or he got some explaining to do. Then magically, all of a sudden, he doesn't know anything about it. Mommy? Are you talking about Liz, my sister? His boldly inconsistent recollection of the situation is pretty much a running joke. It's Shiloh's smick. One of those, anyway. A scowl dug into Lizzie's face as Jeremy spoke. Cove lost his smile seeing her reaction, and Shiloh remained silent, with the big childlike eyes locked onto your sister. Jeremy began to shrink away from the screen at the change of the atmosphere. He broke eye contact with everyone. I'm guessing he didn't mention that.
No.
He didn't. You two weird kids and a Wolfie, leave me and Mommy over here alone. And he said he forgot something. He forgot something to you. I do recall him saying a little like that. Sorry. But, well, apparently you had the pleasure of meeting Nate, and you know me, and I talked a bit about Pran, and Everett too. We're all in the unbearable group, and we're all unbearable people, and what amazing coincidence, huh? And it's all about the kind of hard to hide. Well, I'm gonna go now, and I don't want to be the fifth wheel in your little group. You have 3 people, have a good day, I guess. And Shiloh, see you back in school.
Bye.
No, my boo! Come back. Shiloh abruptly ended the call just as people were beginning to warm up to him, as he accidentally found a new way to ice the mood again. And now we're gonna have to deal with Shiloh. Jeremy, come back. And now we're getting into why I don't like Shiloh. Yeah. Shiloh is now averting his own gaze and putting his phone away and chuckled.
So...
I knew Jeremy didn't think highly of me, but it was worse than I thought. That's really sad. Shiloh? Her firm tone immediately brought Shiloh's focus back to her. Once she got his attention, however, Liz's voice became small. I don't like him because he has a smackable face. So pretty much what we're going to learn is that he just lies. And it was his big thing, like in the other game. Like, I was going through this entire thing and I was like, I remember this bitch lying so much. And then, like, as soon as it got brought up, I was like, oh shit. Because that's what's gonna... It's like, shit's going down. Her firm tone immediately brought Shiloh's focus back to her. Once she got his attention, however, Liz's voice became small. When we met you in the city and you didn't know who we were, did you pretend to not recognize us? Look at us parked outside the school and perfectly to beat him up. It's a private school, you jumping in to go beat him up? The 2 friends watched each other for a beat, but Shiloh ultimately closed his eyes in a lopsided smile. Aw, Liz, you're gonna know I would never really forget you. Oh, yeah, I forgot he admitted to it. Liz was speechless. It wasn't quiet, and Cove couldn't help himself from shouting out. Oh my god, you were lying to them? Lying's a strong word. I was improvising? That's cruel, Shiloh. I forgot. I believe none of the things you say to Shiloh change the outcome. That's cruel, Shiloh. Yep, that makes more sense than you not figuring it out. You really didn't mind, but instead concerned that he felt like it was the best opinion. You're such an asshole. You smirk. You thought Shiloh was pretty bold, and you didn't really have an idea what to say. Listen here, young one. I wouldn't jump in. I'd be the ones. I was talking about you jumping into his private school to beat him up. Yeah. Did he dislike you that much, or was it something else? Go home, Shiloh, or go to my house. Wait there until we send you home.
All right.
I knew that. So pretty much what we're gonna do is just talk about shit that's going on with Shiloh. Yay. With his shoulders dipped, head low, Shiloh obediently left the park alone. After his disappeared up the road, Liz set her foot right on the sand, no concern of how dirty her dress might get this time. You went after Shiloh to talk to him, you crouched down to your sister. Now we're dealing with you. You can go, we're done. Cove shared an unsure look and she wanted to be alone, but that wasn't the time for that. We're not going anywhere. Except that you were going to be here for this, and she let out a groan. At the same time, Liz pulled the side of her hats down and gripping it tightly in frustration. I can't believe it. He was pretending not to know us since when was Shiloh too good to catch up with acquaintances? It's infuriating. Am I an idiot for thinking we could talk? You wrapped your arms around her, you leaned up against her, you took her arm, you watched her cautiously. Hug my bitch. My bitch of a sister. If you weren't such a bitch when you were in high school, you would have met Jeremy. You wiggled closer, and you pulled your sister into a hug from the side, and you continued to hold on, and when she didn't let go of her hand. No, you're not an idiot. He's the idiot. Shiloh lied to us. It's not your fault. No, you're smart, talented, amazing. Liz, I am so sorry. You can still make things okay. I don't care. Seriously, Shiloh is a tool for not realizing that.
Fine.
I know. I shouldn't care. It doesn't matter if one person doesn't want to be my bestie. He's not the greatest man on earth. I'd be fine. But I brought him all the way here from the other side of the state, and I didn't know why he did any of this. Liz finally removed her hands from the brim of her hat in order to rub her temples instead. It blows. Cove snorted some nervous laughter at her unexpected phrasing, and she didn't mind it. It's true, but you'll have me say the words and I'll force the answers out of him. I bet he's just intimidated by a successful woman. Liz, if we ever see the guy again, I'll hurl him into the ocean. Beautiful. We had so much fun without him, he has no idea what he's missing out. I'm here for you, Liz, through thick and thin, no matter what. I'm just not gonna make this about Shiloh.
Thank you.
Thanks, baby sister. You let her squish you tightly, rocking you back and forth in a dramatic hug, and you let out a Cove-like squeak. I love that we're just acting like he is a squeak toy. I love you. Love you too. And what's family for? Well, I thought it was for hogging the phone while growing up, but this works. She released you with a shaky, self-impressed laugh. Oh, and thank you to Cove for being around. We're gonna be official family one day, right? Who's loving who? I am allowed to love my sister. And apparently she's already accepted him as her brother-in-law. Don't tell Daddy Cairo, because he's already accepted into this family and she's the only one who's not accepting. She shot him a wide smile. A wry smile. And he tensed up, face going red, and he was willing to take her teasing if it made her feel better. Loving your sister sounds weird to me. Don't mention it? Good. Liz rested her eyes after the last couple of words. It eased your heart to see her feel better, and Cove let out a sigh of relief. Hey. Cove brought his face closer to yours so he could speak in a whisper.
Are you okay?
I know Liz was his best friend, but you knew him too. And you were there for his whole pretend to improvise act. I don't know. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'm sad. I'm frustrated. I don't know how I feel. Or you didn't do anything. I'm okay. I'm glad. He doesn't deserve to be gone for 10 years and then suddenly mess with everybody's emotions. Cove ended his checkup by reaching over to pat you on the shoulder reassuringly. Your longtime neighborhood group sat together quietly in the sand, just enjoying the feelings of familiarity and support. You weren't entirely sure how much time passed, and you were entirely caught off by the soft call in the distance. In unison, oh, Shiloh. This bitch. Three of you turned your head to the sound, and there, standing at the edge of the playground, was Shiloh himself, and he waved. You moved in front of Liz protectively. You huddled closer to Liz nervously. You huddled closer to Cove nervously. You waved back. You froze in place. You simply waited. Alright, let's get this over. Hi, Shiloh. A simple sign to show you that you didn't reject his presence. You got a lot of nerve, Shiloh. Or, it's a good thing your name's Fields because I'm gonna put you in the ground. The amount of times I wanted to hit this boy. Even dating him in the other game was just weird. Like, I think he was like my least favorite person to date out of all the jerks because I was just like, I have no idea how to feel about him because he was just lying and I was just like, what the fuck? I want to punch you in the face. You didn't speak. Do you have something to say? What was that? I couldn't hear you from over there, but don't give up on my account. I'll come over to you. Really, Shiloh? Alright. You knew he heard what you said. Shiloh approached in easy strides as if he had been welcomed. You were floored about how much confidence and, or shamelessness, the boy was apparently capable of now. Liz turned her face, refusing to acknowledge what happened, and she might have been trying to think happy thoughts and wish Shiloh's presence away. Unfortunately, it did not work. When Shiloh arrived, he plopped down in the sand with the rest of you, his legs folded crisscross.
Hi.
Oh my god, Shiloh. Get lost, Shiloh. I will in just a minute. What do you want now? Well, I figured you wanted to talk to me after you had some space. I ought to let you do that if you're going to yell at me. Liz finally faced him to be free to snap at him, at Shiloh with full force. God damn. Why in the world would you think that? Unfazed, Shiloh looked back at her softly. You haven't changed that much, Liz. You were the one who found me online when I brushed you off earlier this summer. And would you have ever preferred leaving something unresolved in the end? You didn't even have a chance to make me explain why I did it. I bet you were dying to know that. Lizzie grounded her teeth, quietly fuming, and Shiloh called it right, and that sucked for her. Fine, I'll bite. Give me your excuse. Well, mostly it was really bad timing. I could have handled it a lot better if I'd known I was going to see you that day, but it wasn't a self-appointed monitor hall duty, diffily watching my every move and people made. And a, hi, good to see you, gotta go, was too simple for your little heart to manage. Of course, the goal was to keep as much distance as possible, admitting I was the guy you knew and wouldn't be helpful. So you can't stand with us, and me trying to reconnect was just a huge pain for you after all. Amazing, wonderful, thank you so much for saying so. No, that's not that. Don't feel bad though. You're almost never wrong. I knew that was coming. You're almost never wrong. Your older sister's brow twitched as she stared at Shiloh in tired disbelief. He smiled back at her brightly. Oh god. I did it so this wouldn't happen. What? I dealt with the situation the way I always do. By saying stuff I don't really exactly mean because it's easier that way and you heard Jeremy. And that's what I'm known for. Sure, right now that you're mad, I pretended not know you, but if I hadn't done that, it would have been something else later that we would have ended up still here. Lizzie's anger became more and more difficult for her to maintain. It was soon replaced by sad confusion. Then don't do that. Don't be like that. Why not be someone you're actually okay showing me? Shiloh chuckled uncomfortably and searching for a way to explain himself to his former idol. I wouldn't have made you sad if I could have avoided it. I mean that. I thought I could at least finish this visit without issue, and Jeremy wasn't someone I expected to call me out. That's the pointlessness to him, usually. But I'm not going to be someone who personality revolves around making you happy. No matter how much I followed others, it wasn't for them. Every decision was mine, and I couldn't be in charge, so being a sidekick was the best option for something I did for my sake. I choose to let people be the boss when it's what I needed, and I choose where it stopped. It was the best I could do for now is spare you the dealing with it. I'm not that earnest as you are, and I'm not as nice as you are. I was always like that, even as a kid. Back when I wanted to fit in, even if it meant excluding someone else, if they were the odd one out, it meant I wasn't. Finding my place here got harder when Cove moved in. It was a good thing for everyone. I ended up moving myself soon after. You were speechless. That was horrible. You knew it. I was sure you weren't honest back then. You felt bad hearing him. Okay. Huh? Okay then. You didn't want to say out loud, but you had expected it. At least I'm admitting it now. I knew that essentially that's how you were back then. You were a scaredy cat who wanted someone to defend you.
Jeez.
I wasn't expecting voice acting. I simply imagined that that in the past 10 years you grew out of that and learned how to speak to others like, I don't know, an actual grown-up human being? Well, in my defense, I'm not an adult yet. I won't be 18 until later this year in October. October 30th. You remembered. So did you, punk. Shiloh chuckled self-consciously as Lizzie smirked at him. There was an ephemeral moment before she became serious again. I liked you when we were kids, and I wanted to know you now. That's why it upsets me the most, the idea that maybe you wanted to be rid of your old friends.
Aw.
Lizzie, you're too good to need someone like me in your life. That's the truth, and I'm not worth the effort. Except for with the usual people who have odd taste. She straightened up in the sand, brushing her dress back off. Yep. That's an incredible, annoying thing to say. It's insane. You've only changed in stupid ways, and it stayed the same for the rest. That's fair. God, this thing's taking like almost 2 hours. It is. It means maybe I have unusual taste. You could stuff Shiloh's entire hat into his mouth with how wide he opened it. Really? Well, as much as a mother hen being compelled to look out for their chick, no matter how useless they are, and how unusual, I can't help it. You haven't changed that much at all. You're still Shiloh, and you're still painfully still Shiloh.
You're welcome.
I brought you here and I'm not going to abandon you. It has to be someone else's job to look out for. I'll keep an eye on you. I'm gonna let Lizzie deal with Shiloh because I'm like, I don't know how to handle the bitch. I'd rather take Jeremy. With her safety returning, she pulled herself off the ground and glowered down at Shiloh with her arms folded. Now, I do want an apology for everything done behind our backs when you could have opened with all of that what you just said. You should have given us a real chance or stayed home. This stunt was rude to me, Sophia, and Cove too. Yeah, but I got Jeremy's number out of it. As if bringing the baby chick comparison to life, Shiloh dutifully did as he was told.
Sorry.
Sorry, Lizzie, Sophia, Cove, and everyone. I didn't want to cause problems or ruin the day. And you don't have to accept it just because I said. Not everybody needs to like everyone. Alright then. You were kind of mean sometimes when we were kids, but I wasn't nice to you either. All this recent stuff isn't really something to make about me, so I'm not going to hold on to it. I mean, as long as you're not gonna keep upsetting people from now on. Thanks, Cove. I'll avoid doing that in the future. And then he changes his focus to you, his expression curious, and he wanted to know where your feelings landed on this and him. Were you pretending to have good times with us today? I accept your apology. I'm not forgiving you. Don't even think about it. You couldn't give him a straight answer. You shouldn't forgive him. That's crazy. You gave him a faint smile, sort of relieved. I'm not accepting his apology, but I'll give him this. You preferred to get along rather than not. It seemed... I don't know. It seemed still going to be possible. Sophia, do you want to stay for what's left of the evening? I don't know. As you got to your feet, you thought about it. You're giving Shiloh another chance. Sorry, I actually have to go. No, I don't give him. What the fuck? I still like Shiloh. If Lizzie's gonna look out for Shiloh, someone's gotta look out for her. I'm kind of interested what will happen. I'll stick around. I feel sorry for you, Shiloh. I want us to stay together. Well, it might not as if I was yeah, let's go with this. Stretching your arms over your head, you glanced at Lizzie despite how the things Shiloh admitted made stuff awkward. And you were intentionally going anywhere. Yep, fuck. Shiloh jumped to his feet, straightening his cap on the landing. Lynn would be... Lynn. Still sad you couldn't date him. Lynn would be so proud and you didn't all leave. Cove rose again with a groan. Another group mate?
Nope.
He's the group advisor. He's also friends with my mom. And if you're wondering, the group is for people who have difficult to deal with attitudes. Jeremy, Nate, being in it makes a lot of sense, huh? Shiloh spoke simply and finishing his thought with a brief shrug, and Lizzie sighed aloud. And he smiled ruefully at him. Geez, Shiloh, you certainly made yourself and other people's problems since leaving. Ow, that's my hair. Well, now you all know me better too. Thanks for sharing. A small smirk appeared on her face as she watched Shiloh, and you didn't fail to notice a hint of sarcasm in her voice. And thank you, Sophia. Accompanied by a warm smile, Lizzie's tone was sincere. Can I keep hanging out with everyone too? Sheepishly, Cove rubbed his arm and Lizzie smiled, stretched into a grin at the news. Aw, thanks for sticking around. Well then, what now? The four of you stared at each other in silence until Shiloh tentatively made a suggestion. Would anyone want to build sandcastles? That sounds ideal. Your older sister began to truly relax again, and you were glad to see it, and glancing at Cove, he nodded in agreement with Liz. Yeah, I like that idea too. It had been a long time since you last built a sandcastle together, and you were already looking forward to burying your feet in the sand. Then, we're all agreed. Come on, gang, let's go to the beach. Let's go to the beach. The sun was far across the sky when the four of you trailed down from the park to the shore in a comfortable silence. It was hard not to think about how familiar it felt, and you never thought the four of you would ever be here again. It wasn't long before you were sitting on wet ground, busy pushing as much sand as possible into a lump. You all worked together quietly. Ever so often a chuckle would drift through because the castle would lopsided development. At one point, Cove stretched his legs out completely. Incoming wave started to reach his toes. Hinky pinky on the beach. No. None of that actually happens. He attentively was caught off guard and almost jumped into the castle, but ultimately didn't resist the water. After that, the group worked with purpose to finish before the ocean could tear it down. Though, even still, Lizzie ended up taking the time to particularly about a castle's rudimentary design. I wasn't asking. Oh. Well, we're gonna have to run. Shiloh, of course, backed up all her plans, and Cove was descending. His voice wanted to keep things more laid back and things pretty boisterous. Yeah, fuck it. Being there doing this with Cove, Liz, and Shiloh, it felt weirdly different, yet weirdly the same.
So...
What happened with the amusement park? You pretending not to know happened, weren't you? Both you and your sister glanced at Shiloh, silently re-asking the question. Under the weight of all three of you taking turns asking it, Shiloh finally gives in. I might have an idea what he meant.
So...
The thing is, someone we're both familiar with. She asked Jeremy to the amusement park one time. He accepted, but complained about it, so I suggested that me and her should go together. Jeremy also agreed it would be more fun to go around the park with me. That's what he meant when he said he was on my side. She was still with him, and now Jeremy was embarrassed to not admit that he was turned down. But he was the preferred option then, and it was hard to believe. Anyway, Jeremy could think that I got mad, that I got passed over, and it doesn't matter if she said yes or no. All that counts is that she knows I was totally there when she needed it, and she does. Sure, Shiloh. You're so reliable. I know, right? Oh my gosh, Shiloh. Okay, thanks for telling us.
You're welcome.
This bitch. Smiling to yourself, you watched the three of them absorbed in the moment. It was nice, and you hoped that everyone else was having just as much fun. Bury in the sand. Exactly. It was sort of incredible that you were able to have another evening like this in your life. And it felt as oddly sincere. It wasn't only with Shiloh. You had also gotten some sort of closure with the old villain of that one summer long ago. Just like old times, the four of you stayed on the beach until the night fell and the moon was high in the sky, and then it was time to say goodbye. Shiloh needed to get back to his mom and back to where his life truly was now. Before leaving the beach, Shiloh pulled you aside and gave you his number, just in case you wanted to keep in touch. Lizzie had it already, though he wanted to give it to you personally. You weren't expecting that, but it was comforting to know that it didn't have to be a permanent goodbye. The four of you walked up to the neighborhood street as one. Tired smiles covered the familiar faces around you. The wind gently blew by, the sand dragging behind you, and it was hard to grasp the feeling of contentment carrying you through the end of this road, and it was a good night. After that, Shiloh disappeared from Sunset Bird once again, though this time it wasn't as heartbreaking or hard to understand. This time was just another part of life. And it helped that Lizzie had her own phone and laptop that she could easily check in on him from time to time, and it was nice too. Oh my god, that thing took 2 hours? Okay. So, we are done with this. Okay, one of these, I'm pretty sure it's going to be this one, and I feel like it's either this one that have the things Kara is going to be upset with. Oh god, we're on 18. We're getting closer to this, and I'm like, oof. But thank you all for coming out and hanging out with me. Oh god, I was scared. That took a hot moment. I know who we're gonna raid. Yes, exactly. Start raid. Of course, we're raiding Karo. Well, but yeah. Thank you all for coming out here. Especially since Karo is streaming, and I'm like, haha. But I hope you all have a nice day, night, where the fuck. And yeah. Bye bye. You know what? Do it. Full blown do it, Flamingo. Here. Oh, I have to go back on the other one. I'll fucking take it. I'm already there! I'll just full blown send this. Copy. Okay. Alright. Oh, shoot. Oh, did I accidentally get rid of it? Oops. Alright, start raid, because this thing's weird. Alright. And my computer is taking a bit. Oh, there we go. Alright, bye everyone!